with 13 strikeouts. What are you seeing from this kid?
You know, the big buzzword about baseball right now with the fastball spin rate. He pitches up in the zone. For not a very big guy, he gets a lot of carry. True carry, high fastballs up in the zone. The first start when he struck out 13, Brian, 90% fastballs. I'd like to see him mix in the changeup and the curveball a little bit more. Start one was great. Start two, not as good in Minnesota. The Twins waited him out, made him bring the ball into the strike zone. I think it's going to be very imperative that Freddie breaks out the curveball and the changeup and has one of those two secondary pitches in his back pocket tonight.
Peralta has been dominating the Pacific Coast League, pitching for Colorado Springs since he was sent down. Knows he has to give him a big effort tonight. The Brewers got to get their bats going. They were shut out for the 10th time last night, 1-0. It's a new day, though. It's Game 2 in Pittsburgh. Brewers and Buccos coming up next.
Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. Voted best, rated best, Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business. By Miller Lite, great taste and only 96 calories. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs.
For baseball tonight, glad you're with us on Fox Sports Wisconsin. The Brewers and the Pirates, division rivals. Brian Anderson with Dan Plesac. Dario Melendez, our reporter. Tonight's game being produced by Brent Reland, directed by Phil Malika. 80-degree night in Pittsburgh. Much better weather tonight than last night. It was warm last night. Easy to get a good lather going, as my partner can attest from last night. But tonight it is ideal baseball weather. Some cloud cover in as well. Craig Counsell and company very busy after the game last night, activating Freddie Peralta, and Boone Logan DFA, designated for assignment. Potawatomi batting order with Kane, Yelich, and Aguilar at the top. Thames, Perez, and VR make up the middle of the order, with Pena, Arcia, and Peralta rounding out the starting lineup for the Brewers tonight. Still no Travis Shaw. He's out with a wrist injury. They are hopeful to get him in there tomorrow. We'll have more on that from Dario in a little bit. All right, Dan, Jameson Taillon on the mound. He's been excellent in the month of June.
You know what, go back to the 2010 draft, Brian. How about this? Bryce Harper, #1 in that draft. Manny Machado, #3. Sandwiched in between, you're looking at him, Jameson Taillon, 2nd pick in the 2010 MLB draft.
Big 6'5" right-hander out of Texas, the Woodlands, Texas, in the Houston area. He deals strike 1 to Kane to get us started tonight. Very high expectations from the Pirates for Jameson Taillon as he now gets his feet under him in his 3rd year in the big leagues. He's only 26. He's having an excellent season. He has a complete game shutout this year already. A 3.94 earned run average coming in. He went 8 shutout against the St. Louis Cardinals at the start of the month, and then his last start he beat the Diamondbacks in his last time out. Big power right-hander Jameson Taillon strikes out a little over 8 batters per 9 innings. Keeps his walks down typically as well. He's about 2.5 walks per 9. And those are his numbers against the Diamondbacks last time out. 2-2 to Kane. Count goes full 3-2.
As you touched on, Brian, big arm, mid-90s fastball, good slider. His best secondary pitch is an overhand curveball. It's a 12-6 type of curveball, and they were kind of hoping that he and Garrett Cole were going to be the foundation of this Pirates pitching staff a couple of years ago.
Little tapper in front of the plate. That is going to stay fair. Tough play. Cervelli's throw not in time. Kane beats it out. That was some play by Cervelli, though, to even have a chance. But Kane legs it out, and for now will go as an infield hit. I'm sure the Pirates are going to want to take a look at this.
Great job, as you touched on. Look at Cervelli bouncing out from behind the plate. Off balance throw. Bang bang play at first base, and you touched on, I think the Buccos are going to take a look at this one.
Clint Hurdle has just now waved off home plate umpire David Rackley, saying we're good with that decision. No challenge from the Pirates, so the Brewers get a man on to start it tonight. Hits were hard to come by last night for the Brew Crew, losing a 1-0 game. The Brewers shut out for the 10th time this year. The good news about that number is the fact the Brewers, after shutouts, usually come back well. They are 6-3 following shutout losses, but those 10 shutouts lead the National League. So you're hanging your hat that the Brewers will have a bounce back in them tonight with that 6-3 record. Pretty good numbers across the board as well following a shutout.
What promising too last night. The top of the 9th inning, Yelich led off with an 0-2 base hit off of Vasquez, the closer for the Buccos last night. It looked like the Brew Crew might have been in some business, but Vasquez made some really tough pitches when he needed to, and Brewers just came up a little bit short, as you touched on, getting shut out for the 10th time so far in 2018.
Only 2 hits last night for the Brewers. Trevor Williams went 7 shutout innings, the starter, and then Crick and Vasquez closed it out. The Brewers did get a hit from Yelich in the 9th inning. Yelich had a single on an 0-2 pitch in the 9th inning. Christian just keeps on hitting. He has proven himself to be a guy who will push that 300 batting average each and every year. He's done that a couple of seasons prior to this one. He's hitting .297 coming in. Always hear the thought of a diminishing number in batting average, but when you're hovering around 300 and taking the amount of walks that Yelich does, that translates into a high on base percentage as well, and Yelich and Kane at the top of the order getting on a ton. Kane at first, 1-2 the count, and Yelich a swing and a miss. Taillon picks up his first strikeout. Let's check the defense for the Pirates tonight. Behind Taillon, Corey Dickerson, Starling Marte, Gregory Polanco in the outfield. Same starting outfield, same starting infield as last night. Moran, Mercer, Harrison, and Bell. Harrison made a fantastic play defensively, taking a hit away from Sogard last night. Francisco Cervelli will hang the signs for the right-hander Taillon. Brewers do shift up their lineup a little bit tonight. Jesus Aguilar back in the 3 spot, but Eric Thames will hit cleanup tonight. He batted 5th yesterday. And a swing and a miss from Aguilar.
I thought it was kind of interesting after the game last night. Craig Counsell said that the Brew Crew needs somebody else. The table setters, Kane and Yelich, have been so good, BA, but they're just looking somebody down the middle part of that order to start producing. That's one of the reasons why right now the Brew Crew have been shut out, as you touched on, 10 times already in 2018.
I like that comment by Craig Counsell. That is, I wouldn't say an alarm sounding from the manager, but these players, they get it. They are very in tune with what the manager thinks and his post-game information that he delivers. And it's nothing that Craig Counsell hasn't talked to his ball club about, but it's a pretty easy track to see when Kane and Yelich struggle. The Brewers oftentimes in those 10 shutouts have not gotten help from anybody else, so it can't be reliant upon the 2 guys at the top, or even for Counsell's sake, the 4 guys at the top of the order on any given day. They've got to get production from up and down the lineup. So I'm sure that message was issued loud and clear as Aguilar takes a strike and the count goes to 1-2.
You know, as you touched on last night, you're always looking for a little bit of a silver lining, even though the box score, Arcia, went hitless last night, but he did square up a couple of balls that he hit hard to right field. So if you're looking for some positives down towards that bottom third of the order, a couple of really good at-bats last night from Arcia.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Aguilar takes a ball inside. Jesus was not in the starting lineup last night. He did come off the bench. He had an at-bat in last night's game. He grounded out. So Ryan Braun will sit this one out. He'll be available on the bench. Santana on the bench. And you figure they'll try to get one more day out of Travis Shaw before he is used. So it's a 5-man bench, but essentially 4 available. And the Brewers bullpen tonight is a man short from what they have carried through this 2-week stretch, needing a 5th starter tonight. Calling up Freddie Peralta, and Boone Logan no longer with the organization. Brewers have a 7-man bullpen. 2 lefties in the pen tonight with Hader and Jennings. Aguilar sends one deep into right center field. This is way back, and Jesus sends one out of here to right center. A bomb in this pitcher-friendly ballpark. Aguilar with his 14th home run. That matches Shaw for the club lead, and it gives the Brewers a start tonight with a bang.
Amazing to think how far Aguilar has come in such a short period of time. Last year looked at mainly as a right-handed hitter off the bench against lefties, and Brian, he has just forced his way into the middle third of this order. This is not an easy ballpark to hit one out of. He gets a little cut fastball, outer third, 92 miles an hour, doesn't try to pull it and hits it to the deepest part of the ballpark here at PNC, about 4 rows deep, and one big swing of the bat. The Brew Crew in business, up 2-0 early.
Powerball home run number 14 for Aguilar. It comes on a 2-strike pitch from Jamison Tyone. We talk a lot about Aguilar and his 2-strike ability. He has the ability and has shown that he will shorten up with 2 strikes. He does a lot of damage with 2 strikes, but that gives you a real look at how strong he is. He can shorten up and still leave the ballpark.
You know, with his body prototype, I think when you look at him initially, you think that this is just this big, strong guy that swings from his heels. That's a dead pull guy, but when he's swinging the bat well, hitting the ball to right center field is one of his strengths.
Eric Thames in the cleanup spot, a big wave and a miss, and down he goes. So it's the 2nd strikeout for Tyone. He makes quick work of Thames following the home run. Now, Jesus Aguilar is a shortstop in an offensive lineman's body. He can't help that. He's very nimble around the bases and in the field. He doesn't have great range, but he's light on his feet. He's an athletic big guy. We saw him do the splits the other day, fielding a throw from shortstop. And he has proven himself to be an excellent big league hitter.
Also one of the guys, when you take a look in the dugout and you see him on the field, brings a lot of energy, has a smile on his face. He and Lorenzo Cain are two guys that really stick out to me, that when you see them, both of them play, they play with some energy. And I think it's infectious, and it feeds off to the rest of the guys. And this is such a unique sport, different than basketball and football, where you don't get the days off, and you need those guys that bring energy. And Aguilar certainly is one of those guys for the Brewers.
Never forget that image when he first arrived, his baseball pants. Arcia was in one side of the pants, and I believe it was Keon Broxton in the other. Two people in each of the legs of the pants for Jesus Aguilar in the clubhouse. Yeah, he's gobbling up some fabric right there. Good start for the Brewers tonight. Aguilar with 44 RBIs now. Since the third week of April, nobody's been more productive than Jesus Aguilar. Once he got into the lineup on a regular basis, he has really dominated. Waited a long time to get his chance. He was roadblocked in Cleveland. Couldn't get a significant opportunity with the Indians, but he found his way last year to the Brewers and has not let the opportunity go by. Give him a lot of credit.
Crazy, the game of baseball, right? Last night before the first pitch, we were talking about how Trevor Williams had been struggling, hadn't gotten through 3 innings, and Jamison Taillon had been lights out in the last 4 or 5 starts. And just like that, one swing of the bat by Aguilar, and the Brew Crew find themselves with a 2-0 lead early.
As a called strike 3, Taillon strikes out the side, but gives up an infield hit and a booming home run by Jesus Aguilar. 2-0 Milwaukee. Aguilar with an opposite field bomb, and the Brewers off to a good start in the Steel City tonight. Helped him out here tonight. He hits a 2-run home run in the first inning. Brewers on the board first tonight against the Buccos, and now the Clint Hurdle Pittsburgh batting order, courtesy of Potawatomi. Josh Harrison back in the leadoff spot. Corey Dickerson, then Starling Marte. In the middle goes Moran, Cervelli, and Bell. Gregory Polanco, Jordy Mercer, and Jamison Taillon round out the starting 9. And that's a lineup, Dan, that will match up against Freddie Peralta. Every start in the big leagues is a gift for the young Peralta, and this will be number 3 tonight.
Boy, burst onto the scene in his initial debut in Colorado in a tough environment. Struck out 13 Rockies. Second start wasn't quite as smooth against the Twins. I think it's going to be really important for Freddie to establish either the curveball or the changeup. In that start where he's punched out 13, 90% fastballs. I think the Buccos have that scouting report. Like to see him mix in some secondary pitches.
Last start in the big leagues was a month ago to the day, May 19th. Pitched at Target Field against the Twins. He went 4 innings, giving up 4 runs. He had 6 walks in that game, but 5 strikeouts. He was in trouble in every inning and had a high pitch count through those 4 innings. Brewers actually won that game 5-4. So in Peralta starts, the Brewers are 2-0. He got the win in his major league debut. That was on Mother's Day in front of his family. And that historically good start for the Brewers with those 13 Ks, a franchise record. And he puts a fastball right by Harrison to start his night.
Boy, just what you saw in the opener when he in his debut at Coors Field. Fastball, it plays bigger than it actually is in a day and rate where we're talking about backspin and spin rate. Take a look at this one here. Pretty much middle, and he throws it right by Josh Harrison, inner third. Particularly good pitch, a lot of run, a lot of drive, and a lot of carry. It reminds me a little bit of two pitchers that come to mind. Sonny Gray from the New York Yankees, and not a very big guy, and Marcus Stroman, another right-hander from the Toronto Blue Jays. Not very big, but their fastball action plays a lot bigger than it actually appears. The radar gun is a little bit deceptive. The 93 actually plays a lot better.
First pitch fastball in there for a strike on Corey Dickerson. Lots to like with Freddie Peralta, and oh, by the way, he's only 22 years of age. Enters the fray in a hot pennant race, and he understands his position. The Brewers are operating right now with 4 pitchers, and I guess you could call them a taxi squad of pitchers. Freddie Peralta, Jorge Lopez, Brandon Woodruff, Adrian Hauser would be the 4 that are the depth pitchers for Milwaukee. And those guys have been up and down. They have options, obviously, very young pitchers. So options to go from the big leagues to the minor leagues. 2 of them are here. Peralta makes a start here today, and Adrian Hauser is down in the bullpen. And that formula has worked very well for the Brewers. And the pitching concept of having this group of pitchers that can come up when need be, which on the flip side allows you fresh arms in your bullpen just about every night.
I think the reason why it's working so well is the Brewers have been very open and they've been honest. The line of communication with all 4, they kind of know where they stand. They're short term, and they're all going to get their chance, get a turn to the rotation. Peralta is getting his chance right now. I would assume if he pitches well, there's nothing more that the Brewers love than to give him the ball every 5 days.
Fastball misses inside to Dickerson. So you really have to think about it in 2 ways. So if you're just paying attention to the major leagues, and this is the first time we have seen Peralta in a month, you got to remember he's been pitching in what is a normal rotation flow down in AAA. So in his time in the big leagues, he's gone back down. So for him, this feels like a regular season of pitching. He's out there just about every 5th day. A pop up from Dickerson over to Perez, and there is out number 2.
Another good example of how the fastball plays. He's thrown about 90% fastballs. He's flipped a couple of curveballs over so far early, and if he can do that just enough to get him off of the fastball, another fastball right there to Dickerson that was up in the zone, a pitch that looks really inviting to hit, and it's a really difficult pitch to hit that 94, 95 belt high and above. So far, so good from Freddie.
Two gone. Here is Starling Marte, Pittsburgh center fielder. Remember, he was playing left field with Andrew McCutchen manning center, and then McCutchen opting free agency. The Pirates not making that sign. McCutchen ending up with the San Francisco Giants. That opened the door for Marte to play center, and he drives one into right center field. Long run for Kane. Yelich is back as well. I beg your pardon, Thames, and he dropped it. Thames had it hit in and out of his glove, and into second base is Marte. No Braun in the lineup tonight. That means Yelich plays left field. Thames is in right field, and that's one he should have made.
Does a pretty good job of tracking this ball. This ball's hit pretty well to the gap in right center field. You see Thames reads the ball pretty well right here. He's backing up on it. He gets a good beat on it. He's well within himself. It just kind of hits and clanks off the heel of the glove. You can see right here, it almost hits him right off the top edge of the glove. A play that he should make.
Thames came up as an outfielder prior to his 3 years in Korea. He was a first baseman exclusively there. just coming back from the disabled list. He plays a lot of left field, but you could tell he's a little uncertain playing in a ballpark in the outfield for the first time in right field. And he got a little gun shy on that warning track, expecting the wall to come up. So a runner at second base. Scored as an error, a two-base error. Marte in scoring position with Colin Moran at the plate.
That's a situation like this where Freddie needs to really try to establish a little bit of the breaking ball. It's a little bit early in the game to start worrying about with a base open. A guy like Colin Moran right now, he's falling behind. Fastball, fastball, 2 balls and no strikes. He's going to need to establish either the curveball or the changeup. There's the good curveball, 2-0. That is a pitch right there that is going to slow this Pirate lineup down. The ability is there to throw the curveball for the strikes, and this is a good one. I mean, it doesn't have to be a great one, 1-0 or 2-0, just to kind of a get me over curveball, a terrific one. If he can continue that, he's going to be in business tonight.
Plants that seed that he has the curveball. Comes in at 77 miles an hour as well. A change of pace off his fastball too. And there you have it, a fastball that gets right by Moran.
Going back to your neck of the woods, they call that almost the Texas two-step. You try to go fast, fast, slow, 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 fast. Be unpredictable. After the 2-0 curveball, the 91-mile-an-hour fastball, Moran's a little bit late on it. Now you can go either way. If you're Freddie, you can go back to that curveball a little lower in the zone and bounce it, run the 4-seam fastball up in the zone and possibly get a swing and a miss.
Moran's been a productive hitter for the Pirates. Big spot early for Peralta. He deals it, and a fastball just missed. Wow. David Rackley calling the balls and strikes. Didn't see that one as a strike.
Unfortunately, what happens, you see when your catcher's sitting up, Peña setting up on that inner half of the plate and the ball runs out, it's hard to present that as a strike when the ball's running away to your glove.
I say strikes are strikes, Dan. You want to speed up this game.
You think like I do. I think like I want them all to be strikes.
Start calling strikes. And there's the curveball into center field. Little lazy swing on the breaker and a lazy fly ball out to end the inning. Good pitching there by Freddie Peralta. Inning is over. Brewers lead it 2-0.
Video with hashtag Hats Off for Heroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
2-0 Brew Crew on a Jesus Aguilar 2-run home run to right center. And away we go. Freddie Peralta puts up a 0 in the bottom of the first. We head to the second now with Jonathan Villar leading off. Manny Peña, then Orlando Arcia. Jameson Taillon back to work. 3 punch outs in that first inning, but gave up an infield hit to Kane, and then Aguilar went into the bleachers in right center for his 14th home run.
We've yet to see the real good curveball from Tyon. That's primarily his best out pitch. There it is right there. That's his best secondary pitch. He uses a little bit of a cutter, but he's going to get most of his swings and misses on that big curveball. And that was a terrific one right there. That's the 12-6. Starts out in the top of the strike zone, ends up just below the knees.
Throws that curveball a little bit harder than Peralta's curve as VR comes up empty. Tyon is a strikeout pitcher. It's tough for a starter to maintain a strikeout per inning. You got to be one of those power guys, and you can't just have a fastball. It's more than that, and Tyon possesses quite the toolbox. Weakly hit ground ball to short. Mercer will make the play for out number 1. Hey, a reminder, make sure you have enough Brewers gear for the summer. You can pick up a one-of-a-kind short sleeve t-shirt given to the first 20,000 fans at the Crew's rivalry showdown against the Cardinals. That happens this Friday, courtesy of Experience Fitness. To book your seats, visit brewers.com/tickets. Brewers open a 4-game series against the Cardinals on Thursday. Got the Cardinals and the Royals in town. 4 against St. Louis, 2 against Kansas City. 6-game homestand over 7 days. A trip through Missouri at Miller Park next week.
Bill Short will be back in the booth
Thursday,
right?
He might be enjoying himself out there in the middle of the Sheboygan River.
Right. I could just picture last night. He's out in the middle of the lake, like right. His paddle's broke on his canoe. He's mad at his wife because he has no cell service, and she convinced him to stay with the package to bundle their cable and phone all together. He's trying to call you for help. He's like, hello, hello, hello. Right?
It's a very detailed description of it. Pena sends one to center field. That is over the head of Marte. It is off the wall, and the Brewer catcher is off to the races. He's on his way to third. Throw to third comes in late. It's a triple for Manny Pena with the piano on his back. The belly flop at third base, and the Brewers have a runner at third with 1 away.
Really liked the approach of the Brewers hitters last night. Shut down by Trevor Williams. This is another pitch on the outer third. Does a terrific job not trying to pull this. He tries to pull this. This is a ground ball to the left side. Another ball, and ball is carrying very well off the glove of Marte, and you can see Manny right now. The piano is playing. Hit the deck, big boy. Face first. He's in there.
First career triple in the big leagues for Manny Pena. Picked the right ballpark. Infield in now. Arcia up there hacking, fouls it away.
Now this is a spot where you really like to see him have the approach that he had last night. He came up empty in the scorebook, took an 0 on the night, but he hit a couple of balls right on the screws to the right side. With the infield in right now, just try to get something in elevated up in the air. Keep the swing under control, think the other way, and they're basically handing you an RBI, put the ball in play.
Got the pitcher Peralta due next, and Arcia shows bunt, bunts it foul. And it's 0-2. When you're a struggling hitter like Arcia, you are in the perpetual 2-strike count, it seems.
You know, I like that idea of the last play. That's the safety squeeze is on. It's a play that is almost impossible to defend, even though Pena doesn't run all that well at third base. If you don't disguise it, you get a late break. Just get the ball down on the ground. Unfortunately, now he's behind 0-2.
That little half swing, they'll ask if he went. He does go, and it is a strikeout. Arcia's woes continue. That strikeout number 4. Tyon needed a K with the pitcher coming up, and he delivers.
Kind of feels like a middle missed opportunity. 0-1 safety squeeze, and then this is that big breaking ball, that slurve at 85 miles an hour. It just gets that bat head started, not able to hold up, in a big strikeout for Tyon.
So that'll bring up the Brewer pitcher, Freddie Peralta. Peralta has 3 big league at-bats in his 2 previous starts. He is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. As a minor league player, Peralta has 3 hits in his minor league career. Start hitting at the AA level. And Tyon just eating him up with that big fastball.
Pretty good boring in 2-seam fastball right there from Tyon. Multiple ways to get a pitcher out right now. He could go back to that fastball or go ahead and throw that hard breaking, that sweeper with 2 strikes.
Pena with a big lead at third, and Peralta able to fight one off. Progress for Freddie.
I think Taillon might be doing Freddie a favor right now with a steady diet of fastballs. I always felt that as a pitcher, it's much more difficult to make an adjustment to the breaking ball. He's gone fastball 3 consecutive pitches in a row. Might be time for a little breaking ball.
And if it gets by Cervelli, Pena ready to run. And a swing and a miss. He threw him another breaking ball, and down he goes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Taillon. Pena with a triple, first of his big league career. He is stranded at third base.
Recalled from AAA Colorado Springs prior to today's game against the Pirates, making his 3rd career start, all of those starts coming this season. And when I spoke with Peralta earlier in the week, he told me that he's really excited to get back on a major league mound and test out some of the things he learned in those previous 2 outings, like precision and learning how to stay 1 step ahead of hitters. But in order to make room for Peralta, the Brewers had to designate veteran reliever Boone Logan for assignment. Manager Craig Counsell saying that it was unfortunate to have to make that transaction because Boone began the season hurt and they were just unable to get him on track. And Counsell went on to echo his predecessor, Doug Melvin. And Dan, I'm sure you can attest to this by saying when a reliever's struggling, it's hard to get them on track because there's just no practice time. But at the end of the day, even though it was a very small sample size, this is a results-driven business, and the results were just not there for Logan.
No, dead on, Dario. And I think one of the keys, Craig Counsell would like nothing more than to have 2 reliable lefties. They have one in Josh Hader. They like to use him more 7th, 8th inning. They would have liked to have Boone Logan to come in to be that guy that he was with the Yankees, and he was at one time, he was an automatic. You could bring him in to get some lefties, a situational guy, but it just didn't work out this year for Boone Logan.
So that leaves 2 lefties in the bullpen with Hader and Dan Jennings. Jennings was acquired, remember, after the season had started, primarily because Logan was injured, had the triceps injury. Logan will find a job. There's no question that he'll have an opportunity to pitch his way through it, but the Brewers are in the middle of a serious pennant race right now, and there is no time to try to get Logan right. So the move was made. Freddie Peralta back to work facing Cervelli. He's been a hot hitter for the Pirates. Peralta with mostly fastballs in the 1st inning. Through 18 pitches, 15 of those were fastballs. A tricky fastball it is. That's a fastball. And Cervelli just able to hang in there. All the talk about the number 1 for Freddie Peralta, Dan, it was his breaking ball that allowed him to get out of that inning with a runner at second base.
Listen, in the first inning, 3 curveballs, all 3 he threw for strikes, and I thought the last out of that first inning threw a 3-2 curveball to Colin Moran to get him to pop up to center field. I thought he's mixed in his off-beat pitches well so far. He hasn't thrown that many, but the ones he's thrown really well. There's another one. That's a good breaking ball right there. 2-strike breaking ball. It serves 2 purposes. Now you've slowed Cervelli down just enough to where now that 94, watch this action on this curveball. It's good, it's down, it's where it's supposed to be with 2 strikes. Now you have multiple ways. You can go back to the curveball or ride that 4-seam after that curveball. This 94 would have the appearance of being 95 or 96.
See what he lands on here. 2-2 the count to Cervelli, the Pirates' 5th place hitter. And the fastball misses.
He's certainly not getting the benefit of any of the pitches that are on the corner. There have been 3 or 4 pitches right now that could have gone either way, and he hasn't gotten the call on any of the 3 up to this point.
Home plate umpire David Rackley. The crew chief on this crew is at third base in Larry Vanover. He had the plate last night. 3-2 pitch. Hit in the air, pop up, shallow right. Thames is in. VR will peel away, and Thames will make the catch for out number 1. So let's take a look at our Pizza Ranch for the win. Dan, you talked about the secondary pitches. These 2 curveballs in the first caught your eye.
It doesn't have to be a great curveball. It just has to be one that he can get over. I like the velocity. So his fastball is 94, 95, and this curveball right here, a 3-2 curveball to Colin Moran, 77, 78 miles an hour. You're talking almost 17, 18 mile an hour difference between the fastball and the curveball, and that's a great split in between the 2 pitches.
I mean, talk about slowing the bat down. Colin Moran's swing was a symbol of that. He was trying to slow the bat down through the hitting zone. He made good contact, but there was nothing on the swing, and it was a routine fly ball out to strand a runner at second base. Here is Bell. He gets sawed off, a fly ball to right, and Thames will make the catch. Drifting a little bit. Thames is being tested early, already has an error tonight, but he's got 2 in his glove. And 2 gone in the second inning.
Boy, very similar to the first start against the Rockies. Freddie's fastball is playing awfully well. He's thrown 4 breaking balls up to this point going into the second inning, and that fastball just has some extra life, a little extra giddy up. Been very impressed, very composed. He's not, walking around the mound much, taking his hat off. He looks like he's fairly confident, and I think it bodes very well that he and Pena are the same page. Throwing his pitches very much with conviction, which is so important for a young pitcher.
2 gone. Here is Gregory Polanco.
And if he continue to pour strike 1, it just opens up so much. He's shown the ability so far to command both sides of the plate, inside to a righty, outside to a lefty. That first pitch right there was a terrific pitch to Polanco. You call it a pitcher's pitch, a little tailing 2-seam fastball, 91 on the corner.
And a foul ball. Excuse me, swing by Polanco. One thing you hear all the time about Freddie Peralta, and we were talking about this in spring training even, is the fact that his fastball is an unusual look. He hides it well, a little bit of a crossfire delivery, and hitters just don't see it well. Kind of sneaks up on him as he goes back to the heat, and he strikes out Polanco. And a steady diet of fastballs in that inning for Freddie Peralta. Just turned 22 years of age a couple of weeks ago. He's back in the big leagues for his 3rd start. He's off to a good start. FS1. It all kicks off as Ronaldo and Portugal face off with Morocco, 6 a.m. on FS1. The World Cup tomorrow on Fox and FS1. You can stream it all live on the Fox Sports app. 2-0 Brewers on a Jesus Aguilar 2-run home run in the first. Back to the top of the order now. Kane was on when Aguilar went deep. He had reached on an infield hit, and second time around against Tyone. Tyone goes through the order the first time, giving up 3 hits, a single, a homer, and a triple, but he struck out 5. Of the 6 outs he has recorded, he's got 5 Ks. Don't want this big right-hander to settle in. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Kane. And a little tapper, slow roller, tough play. Mercer bare hands, and the throw not in time. And Lorenzo Cain has another infield hit. Heck of a play by Jordy Mercer to make it close. But Kane gets down the line so well, he beats it out.
That smile says it all here. He tops this one right over the mountain. Mercer does a really good job barehanding it. A pretty strong throw, but the speed of Lorenzo Cain, kind of like our golf game. It's not how or how many, right? He's 2 for 2 with 2 dribblers in the infield. But you know what? He's not going to give either one of those ABs back, is he, BA?
Our golf game was more, you know, drive one across the road into somebody's yard and then just drop one out of your pocket. That would be the equivalent. Highly illegal, but not in our world.
But it works for us, right? Not in our world.
Keep things moving
right,
here.
Exactly, right. Pace of play. We talked to Commissioner Manfred about that. Just drop one out of your pocket. I didn't see it. Go ahead, Brian, hit it.
Definitely apply that to the golf game. Yelich is at the plate with Kane at first. Kane 2 for 2 now. Yelich, a swing and a miss. Snap throw to first. Back in time is Kane. Cervelli likes to throw behind runners often. He is the king of the back pick.
Boy,
he is Yadier Molina.
And he has found a home in Pittsburgh. Part-time player with the Yankees. It's amazing what an organization will do. They acquire him and put him behind the plate every day. He's become a terrific hitter. Always has been a good catch and throw guy, but he has stepped his game up about 3 or 4 levels.
Yelich hits it sharply into left field. On the run is Dickerson. He is right there to make the catch. Well, that's the game, isn't it? Lorenzo Cain barely breathes on one. He's on first with an infield hit. Yelich squares it up for an out.
And one of the several reasons why that last at bat, why Christian Yelich to me is, I think he's the best hitter on this Brewers team. And I've marveled at his days with the Marlins. There are a lot of people that think that eventually he has a chance to win a batting title. He's that good of a hitter. He's brought the power dimension into his game. He takes a pretty good pitch and just rifles it to right field. In the book, it's an out, but a terrific at bat.
Has a career batting average, including his season this season. Career batting average in the big leagues at .291. His worst year in batting average was last year. He hit .282. However, he hit 18 home runs last year and drove in 81. Had an OPS over 800 last season. Batting average doesn't always tell the story, but Yelich is a guy that'll push that 300 mark all year. And he is fast, so has the ability to leg out a number of hits every season. Jesus Aguilar, after homering his first time up.
It's hard to quantify like how many home runs, 18 home runs, but in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark in Miami last year. What does that mean? What does it translate? I don't think it's beyond that he couldn't hit 25 to 28 home runs this year for the Brewers. Much better ballpark to hit in, Miller Ballpark, than that spacious ballpark in Florida.
That ball is smoked down the left field line all the way to the wall. Cain on his way to third. He's going to try to score, and the throw comes in. Cain is in there. Jesus Aguilar drives in another one, this time a double. It's 3-0 Brewers, and Lorenzo Cain scoring from first on an extra base hit to left. Wow. Flying
Aguilar,
on the back.
you know what, Jesus might have taken some exceptions to the comments last night after the game from Craig Counsell. I'll tell you what, this is another. He rifled the ball out to right field in his first at bat. Gets a hanging breaking ball, and a good job here by Lorenzo Cain, who's off to the races. And he had his mind made up around second base that he was scoring. And another part of the game of Lorenzo Cain, not just defensively, but also on the bases, and a terrific job. 3 runs batted in so far by Aguilar.
Thames jumping on the first pitch, fouls it away. Cain's mad dash, the infield hit, using his legs to beat one out, and his legs bring him all the way in from first. It is rare that base hits to left result in runs scored from first base. That's a pretty short porch out there in left field in Pittsburgh. It's really the only area for the hitter. As Thames sends one deep to right. Polanco at the track makes the catch. Aguilar is going to tag, and he'll end up at third base. Thames flies out to deep right. 2 outs in the inning, and Jesus ends up 90 feet away. Brewers are getting some good licks in on Jameson Taillon. Number of hard hit balls in this inning alone. Yelich and Thames lining out. Hernan Perez now with a runner at third, 2 away. Brewers lead 3-0. Giving some run support to their 22-year-old rookie right-hander, Freddie Peralta.
A terrific approach tonight so far, heading into the third inning by the Brewers offensive. They have laid off the breaking ball. That was a real big sweeping breaking ball. They have made Taillon bring the ball into the strike zone, not free swinging at a lot of bad pitches. Not a bad take there when you get the count in your favor. 1-0, a good fastball, 96. Get a good look at Darnell Coles right there. Terrific game plan up to this point against a really good pitcher in Taillon, who's been throwing the ball really well the last 3 starts.
Has 2 wins in his last 3 starts. Taillon beat the Diamondbacks last time out. He beat the Cardinals on June 1st. He went 8 shutout in that game. Pittsburgh shut out St. Louis 4-0 that night. That's been one of his best games as a Pirate. He does have a complete game shutout this year. That was against Cincinnati, his second start of the year on April 8th. He went the distance on a 1-hitter against the Cincinnati Reds. In 3 of his starts this year, Pittsburgh has won via the shutout. I mentioned the game that Taillon went the distance against the Reds. He pitched 6 shutout innings against Miami on the road, ended up in a 1-0 Pirate win. And then against the Cardinals on June 1st, 8 shutout innings. He has been one of their best pitchers, and the Brewers have jumped on him early. Perez, a swing and a miss, and the inning is over. Taillon with a strikeout. That is number 6, but the Brewers strike again, namely Jesus Aguilar. 3-0 Crew.
for our UW Whitewater minor league report. Jacob Nottingham having a pretty good stretch over the last 4 games, hitting nearly 400. But the big story here is Zach Davies getting set to make his first rehab start with the Sky Sox. He's expected to make 3 rehab stints in minors. Remember, this is his 2nd time on the DL, and it looks like, guys, he'll be joined by Wade Miley, who I spoke with earlier today. He's heading down to the minors to begin his rehab assignment. Remember, that oblique strain has put him on the 60-day DL. I spoke with him. He said he's feeling a lot better, but he's not eligible to return from the DL until July 9th.
It's going to be some interesting decisions for the Brewers to make. Zach Davies and Wade Miley both figure to be back in the rotation when they are available and eligible to return, in Wade Miley's case. So Miley will have a little extra time. He's going to treat this like a spring training startup once again. Davies, there's a little more urgency involved with him, hoping for 2 or 3 minor league rehab starts. He is a big piece of the Brewers starting rotation, but right now, Junior Guerra and Brent Suter have filled in beautifully for the Brewers in the rotation. I'm sure that will all settle out in due time for Craig Counsell. Freddie Peralta operating out of the 5th spot in the starting rotation. He starts his 3rd inning. He has worked 2 scoreless innings, coming off a 3-up, 3-down second with a strikeout.
Another fastball up in the zone. Looks so inviting to hit. Jody Mercer had the big base hit last night off of Josh Hader, the lone Pirate run. 2-1 fastball up in the zone. That fastball looks so inviting to hit, yet Pirate hitter's not able to square it up. There's a good breaker.
And able to check his swing, according to the first base umpire, Hunter Wendelstedt. And the count goes 3-2 to Mercer.
This is another good curveball right here. Into the strike zone and out really quick.
Payoff pitch from Peralta. Got him to chase the fastball. And Freddie Peralta, with his 3rd strikeout, starts the 3rd inning with a K.
Well, that's what the curveball will do. It will set up, it will make that fastball. Doesn't necessarily have to throw the nasty curveball for a strike, but curveball followed up by this 93-mile-an-hour fastball. He gets a lot of swings. It reminds you of the old days with Dwight Gooden with the Mets in the early to mid part of the 80s. Up in the zone, lots of swings and misses. And I really like with this last pitch, you have the pitcher up and tie on and just pounding the strike zone to get strike 1. This, so far, so good from Freddie. Curveball much better than I saw in the first 2 outings also.
Slings a fastball in, down and away. A ball and a strike on his mound opponent, Jameson Taillon. Taillon has 2 hits this year. He's actually driven in a couple of runs. 2 for 23 at the plate. Fills up the box at 6-5.
This is where you want to get right back in the strike zone if you're Freddie Peralta right now. Get this count back to 2-2 and try to get Taillon out of here as quickly as you can. Right now, this is where I would go right back again with another fastball. Don't mess around with a curveball. Try to keep the pitch count down. Taillon looks like he's not even close to scoring anything up. Just force seam express right down the middle and let it fly.
2-2 pitch. Taillon is somewhere in between a toe tap and stepping in the bucket. 2 buckets, maybe.
Yeah, he's one good four seam fastball away from going ahead and sitting down with a strikeout right now, too.
Happy feet. No easy task in that batter's box. Remember Hal Morris, left-handed hitter for the Reds?
Sure.
You never thought he was comfortable at the plate. He was a professional hitter, though. Taillon has his feet going all over the place in the box. 2-2. Peralta just pouring in the fastballs. And there's another one, and he gets the strikeout right on cue, as our pitcher in residence, Dan Plesac, predicted.
That's a nice little cutting action on this one. I think, you know what's interesting when you watch the fastballs from Peralta, he has that four-seamer that he rides up in the zone, but that last one to Taillon, that's not even fair. That's 93 miles an hour with a little bit of cut on it at the end. I'm not sure if that was the intention or his ball just darts and moves all over the place, but that was a terrific pitch to throw to a pitcher.
Top of the order, second time through now. Josh Harrison back up there. And on the first pitch, he sends one into center field. Easy play for Lorenzo Cain and Freddie Peralta. 15 pitch inning, 14 fastballs. Retires the side in order. Better than one Brewers bobblehead is two Brewers bobbleheads. And this Sunday, June 24th against the Cardinals, you can take home an Arcia Braun Gauntlet double bobblehead, courtesy of Blue Jay Solutions. Secure your seats at Brewers.com. That'll be the finale of the four-game series with the Cardinals. Cardinals lost a heartbreaker last night to the Phillies. They had a late lead. And the Phillies had an extra innings comeback win, 2 runs and a walk-off for Philadelphia. Jonathan Villar takes strike one from Tyone. Speaking of comebacks, the Dodgers coming back against the Chicago Cubs earlier today. The Cubs and Dodgers were postponed last night, playing a day-night doubleheader today at Wrigley. And the Cubs thought they had it secured until the Dodgers scored 2 runs in the 9th. So the Brewers open play today, a half game up in the Central Division. Cubs and Dodgers underway tonight shortly in the nightcap of that doubleheader. The Cubs are going to have 3 more games to play than the Brewers right now. They had so many weather issues early in the season. And so they're going to lose a number of off days that they had, including one that they lost last night. They had some lighting problems at Wrigley Field last night, in addition to the storms. That's where it stands right now, as the Brewers are underway with the Pirates and the Cubs are underway with the Dodgers. Half game lead for Milwaukee.
You know, the Brewers get home on Thursday, a big 4-game set at Miller Park against the Cardinals. The Redbirds 4 games back. It would be awful nice after this weekend to get a little separation, kind of turn this into a 2-team race with the Cubs and the Brewers. A lot of people on the national level like the Cardinals starting pitching. Michael Wacha has really come together and bounced back, and he's been a terrific find. The Cardinals have had some issues with their bullpen. They went out and signed Derek Holland, who was a late addition as a free agent. Bud Norris has kind of settled things down in the 9th inning, but it would be a chance for the Brewers to kind of push the Cardinals back down in the standings in that NL Central with a big weekend set, 4 games starting Thursday night.
It's one thing the Brewers have been able to do with the Pirates. It's a 6-game lead over the Pirates starting play today after the loss last night. The last time these two teams met, the difference was 1. That was back in early May. Brewers lost 2 out of 3 from the Pirates at Miller Park, winning just the middle game. Junior Guerra and Chase Anderson took the losses in those games. The Brewers did win on May 5th. Josh Hader got the win that night. 2-2 the count to Pena. Had a triple his last time up. First career major league triple for the Brewer catcher, Manny Pena. He will be quick to remind you, though, he had 4 triples in AAA last season. He's another of the Brewers that fits into that category of misfit toys. Finally got his chance and made the most of it. He was landlocked with the Kansas City Royals with the emergence of Salvador Perez, and ended up bouncing around a little bit. Signed with the Brewers, was thought to be a quality AAA catcher, potentially a backup, and he's earned his way into the everyday role with his season last season. Bouncing ball over to third base. Moran makes a play for the out. And 2 men are gone here in the 4th inning.
You know, we touched on it earlier, that going back to that 2010 draft, Bryce Harper went number 1, Tyone number 2, and then Manny Machado number 3. There were some other. Matt Harvey went 7th in that draft. Chris Sale was the 13th pick in the draft. The Brewers drafted Dylan Covey, who elected not to sign, with the 14th pick, and Mike Foltynewicz was the 19th pick. And how about this? Christian Yelich was the 23rd pick in the first round in that 2010 draft.
Nice. That was a quality at the top draft for sure. And the story behind the Dylan Covey draft pick. Covey's back in the big leagues, by the way. It's been an impressive run for him. He's with the White Sox. But at the time, once he went through the physical to sign, he was ready to sign with the Brewers. They were going to ink him to a big contract, but it was discovered he had diabetes, and he didn't know it. So he had to totally reset. Arcia with a shot back up the middle, of base hit. Whistles one into center field, and Arcia on base keeps the inning alive, and if nothing else, we'll clear the pitcher spot.
Boy, Jameson Taillon, unfortunate. This ball almost catches Taillon, and there's nothing more frightening as a pitcher when you let a ball go. And this is what makes it so difficult. You see the white shirts behind home plate. Ooh. You know that it's coming back at you, and you're just hoping that it's not at your face. Unfortunately for Jameson Taillon, this one stays low to the ground. And those 2 at-bats yesterday where Arcia hit some line drives to right field. I think this is the best I've seen his swing in about the last 4 or 5 games that I've watched the Brewers. If he thinks up the middle towards right field and gets out of that pull happy mode, I think he's going to be a much better hitter. Missed opportunity at the first at bat with a runner on third and 1 out. Didn't get down a safety squeeze on an 0-1 count, put himself in a bad spot, but that was a quality at bat and a quality swing.
That ball left Arcia's bat at 107 miles an hour. That's one of the hardest hit balls he has had all year. 2-out single gives Peralta a chance at the plate. Looking for his first ever major league hit. Now back to Dylan Covey, though. It was discovered he had diabetes, and he had to completely reset his pitching career. He went to college, got on a diet program to try to manage the diabetes, did so. You got to give the kid a lot of credit, and then he ends up getting drafted and has found his way to the big leagues with the White Sox. He pitched against the Brewers earlier this season. Peralta strikes out. That is number 7 for Tyone. The Brewers lead it 3-0, 3.5 in the books. The Pirates are coming to bat. to light it up in the American League, but you got to give the Mariners a lot of credit. Yankees and the Red Sox are pursuing 50 wins already. They have wiped out the rest of that American League East. John Sterling getting plenty of practice with those home run calls, isn't he, at Yankee Stadium this year?
Really talented team. But boy, you know, Brian, since 1986, my rookie year breaking with the Brewers, I can't ever remember a 5-man rotation as talented and dominant. And I get it, Braves fans are going to hit me with, oh, Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox. Listen, Verlander, Cole, McCullers, Morton, and Keuchel. It's the most dominant 5 starters I've seen since the mid-'80s. Verlander, a lot of people thought he was done. And right now, you could make a case he and Max Scherzer might be 1-2, 1-1A, the best 2 pitchers in the game of baseball right now. What Verlander has done, the adjustments he's made is amazing. And it kind of made me think of like what Yoli Chassin last night. He's incorporated the split changeup, and it's about finding different ways. The great ones, Clemens, Saberhagen, Pedro, Smoltz, they're never the same at the end as you are at the beginning. You either adapt and make changes, because you're never throwing 98 at the beginning and throwing 98 on the way out. It's about adapting and finding different ways, and Yoli Chassin is a perfect example last night for the Brewers. Not overpowering, but mixing in his pitches. 4 different pitches, comes up with a split change 2 starts ago against the Cubs, and was terrific last night. 6 1/3 of 1-run baseball. Pitched much better than deserve a loss, and there's a good look at him. He was terrific last night, and if he can continue to pitch like that, I think he's been the Brew Crew's most dependable starter up to this point.
Yeah, the Brewers certainly like what they see. He's the kind of guy that you're confident in if you get into a pennant race, you get into a postseason, because he does command so well. That's normally what it boils down to in the postseason. Freddie Peralta, 1-2 the count on Dickerson. And he tried to get him to bite on that high fastball. That's been an effective pitch for Peralta. Most everything he throws is coming into a left-handed hitter. So Freddie, with a left-handed batter, is trying to find a window on the outer half. But he's had a lot of success with the heat thus far. He got Dickerson on a pop-up last time. Has a good curveball that misses low. Starting to see a little more confidence, it looks like. Those first few curveballs in the upper 70s, he is really spinning them now. That came in at 80 miles an hour. This guy's got a lot of poise for a just turned 22-year-old. Full count. Pena sets up inside. And Dickerson slices one down the left field line. That is foul in the seats.
Even though the 2-2 breaking ball was down in the zone, it served a purpose. There's a 3-2 fastball to a pretty good hitter in Corey Dickerson. So you would have to think that, you know, common logic, Peralta's been 85–90% fastball tonight, but that curveball slows them down just enough to give that 4-seam fastball that he has a little bit extra life. When you see a swing on a 3-2 count and a lefty has a hard time keeping it fair, that's another sign that they're having a tough time picking up the rotation and gauging the velocity on the fastball.
Manny Pena flipping the signs. Freddie Peralta has been in yes mode. He's shaking off now, but that's because Pena is asking him to. Going back to the fastball inside. Peralta deals, and a line drive to left field, a base hit. That one got a little more of the plate than he hoped, and Dickerson delivers the first Pittsburgh hit to lead off this 4th inning.
No, listen, the thing with Freddie Peralta, what I really like about it, you go back to the last inning, Colin Moran, 4-seam fastball up in the zone, right? It looks so inviting to hit, and the ball just keeps carrying, right? The same pitch, but he has a fastball that's like 2 different ones. This one has that cutting action, almost looks like a Mariano Rivera cutter. So the 4-seamer that he's riding up in the zone, and another 4-seamer that's cutting away. So it's, even though it's a fastball, it's like 2 different pitches in one. He's been throwing the ball terrific so far.
Those numbers in the 2 starts in the major leagues, heavily fastball oriented, and that's his scouting report. So the small sample size matches what he has done in the minor leagues, and he was having a great run in AAA after he was sent back down. Facing Starling Marte with a runner at first.
Even though the leadoff single, that was a really good pitch, 3 ball and 2 strike. He's staying away from the base on balls, and really, if you go back to last night's game, the one turning thing was the walk Yoli Chassin. He ended up walking Francisco Cervelli, which was the go-ahead run last night, and it's been impressive. There's another make them put the ball in play. A terrific play by Thames there in right field. There's been a lot of positive signs. I think if you're Craig Counsell and you're watching what Freddie Peralta's done, and a nice catch there by Eric Thames, he's not afraid to throw the ball in the strike zone. And I guess when you're pitching in Colorado Springs in AAA, which is not a very good ballpark to pitch in, I've been very impressed. He's been down in the zone. He's been attack mode. The Pirate hitters, that very few balls have been squared up and centered. Very businesslike, very efficient. I think right now, if you're Craig Counsell, you couldn't have asked for anything more. Going into the fourth inning, he's commanded. We've not seen the changeup. We've only seen a couple. The curveball has been good. The fastball command has been terrific. So far, so good for Freddie.
One away here with a runner at first. Colin Moran at the plate. Last time up, Moran flew to center field to end the inning. Remember that curveball that Peralta threw to him, little lazy fly ball. That was with a runner at second base. Marte had reached on a two-base error. Pirates just got their first hit of the game against Peralta. Leadoff single by Dickerson. He's at first. And I think Aguilar is going to play behind the runner here. See if Dickerson takes off. Trying to protect that hole over at first base. Three and 0 the count.
Missing, but not missing by much. Not a bad pitch there, 2-0, to a guy that can hit the ball in the ballpark of Moran, with Cervelli on deck.
That one's in there. The two things you hear the most from pitchers who come up from the minor leagues to the big leagues. Number one, the ball feels a little different. The laces aren't as high, not as much grip on the laces. And the other is the strike zone. Much tighter strike zone in the major leagues, typically. That is a constant theme. Pitching coaches are always trying to get in front of that, and you're trying to get as many side sessions as you can. Get that big league ball in your hand. A lot of pitchers like Peralta, who are up and down, will carry Major League Baseballs with them, and they'll throw between starts. They'll even throw side sessions with Major League Baseballs. You have to use what is required in a game in the minor leagues, but everything else, if you're kind of on that trend of minor leagues to major leagues, you want to have that big league baseball in your hand as much as you can. Full count to Moran, runner at first base. And a swing and a broken bat grounder. This is going to be a tough play, and Perez throws to first, not in time. Ill-advised throw there. But Perez went ahead and made the play on the ground for Aguilar. Moran beats it out for an infield single.
Another good indication of how good the fastball is of Freddie Peralta. Falls behind the count 3-0 and pours in a 3-0 fastball, then a 3-1 fastball, then 3-2 right here, right? You have to be sitting fastball, and he just jams Colin Moran, and it goes scored as an infield single. But further proof that Freddie Peralta's fastball is playing, and the key is just try not to fall behind like he did to Colin Moran there at 3 balls and no strikes. Cervelli's going to be in swing mode early. I think it's going to be critical right now for Freddie to make some quality pitches early on in this sequence, in this at bat.
Cervelli has always been a first ball fastball swinger when given the chance. 2 on with 1 away, trying to get a ground ball out of the Pittsburgh catcher, and he drops him to the ground.
Curveball there. That was the first curveball that really had gotten away from Freddie. 77 miles an hour. You can see the smile on the face of Francisco Cervelli. He's certainly going up there thinking this guy's 80-90% fastball. As you can see, this curveball just slips out of his hand. He's able to get down and get out of the way. Fortunately, turns away from it, from that ball, avoiding it, hitting him in the face.
Peralta retired Cervelli last time up on a fly ball to right. Another test here for Peralta. He's given up 2 hits in this inning. Clean single to left and an infield hit.
Might not be a bad time right now for Manny Pena to get a visit just to kind of slow Freddie down. This is the first time all night that it looks like he's starting to speed up his sequence a little bit between pitches. The strike zone's kind of getting away from him a little bit. That curveball that almost hit Cervelli, and then he runs this fastball, the 1-0 fastball, not even close to Cervelli. Kind of maybe go out there and just talk to him and calm him down, give him a little bit of a breather.
Well, prior to this season, a visit to the mound would have been automatic in a spot like this. Players are a lot more judicial with their visits now, that they count them. 2-0 the count. Here it comes, and Cervelli takes a ball. 3 balls, no strikes. Peralta has not walked a batter. That plagued him in his last major league start. He walked 6 in that game. Cervelli swinging 3-0 and a pop-up into center field. Best case scenario for Freddie Peralta. He gets an out. The runners have to stay put. And another perfect example of a fastball that is elusive for a hitter in a dead red fastball count. Cervelli missed it.
Big thank you from Freddie Peralta right here. He probably swings at ball 4. Fastball that looked like it was dipping down out of the zone. Cervelli kind of sitting in the catbird seat there, thought he was going to ambush Freddie on a 3-0 pitch.
So Josh Bell now. He had a key hit last night. Pirates scored the 1 run. Bell drove one through the infield on a top spin ground ball. He's been a struggling hitter for the Pirates. They were counting on Bell and Polanco and Marte all to factor prominently in the top half of their order, but Bell and Polanco have struggled, so Clint Hurdle has dropped him in the order. Swing and a miss. Throw to second. Back in time is Dickerson. Pena has a cannon for an arm. He's never afraid to keep a runner close either. Dickerson reached on a leadoff single. He's still at second. Moran with an infield hit. 2 on, 2 away. Brewers lead 3-0. Aguilar with all 3 RBIs.
Mislocation there from Freddie. Pena wanted that ball up in the zone, that 4-seam fastball. He was sitting up trying for an elevated fastball about chest high, and fortunately for Freddie, it was down in the zone and fouled straight back. Might not be a bad idea right here to go ahead and try to bounce that breaking ball. He's gone about 7 or 8 pitches in a row right now with that fastball. Even if you bounce it for the effect, to go ahead and just get Bell off of the fastball rhythm and cadence.
Again, the 0-2 pitch to Bell. And he got him a high fastball. A strikeout for Peralta. Coming through with some high stress pitches with 2 on and 1 out. He gets Cervelli and Bell to end the inning. It's strikeout number 5 for Fast Freddie. Pitching well through the first 4 innings. A weekend full of rivalry action at Miller Park. The Brewers host the St. Louis Cardinals. 4-game series this Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full promotional schedule, which includes, Dan, 2 big gate giveaways and a Pride theme night at brewers.com. That's going to be fun. You got the 2 night games, Thursday and Friday, and then the 2 day games Saturday and Sunday against the Redbirds.
Brew Crew fans traveling well this year in 2018. See a lot of blue and gold in the stands tonight. That's what happens, though, when you're on top of the NL Central, right?
Attendance is up at Miller Park. One of the largest increases in attendance at this point of the year in Major League Baseball. And always a good contingency of Brewers fans at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Lorenzo Cain, 2-0, hits one on the ground to short. Might have broken his bat. Mercer will make the play for the out. First time Cain has been retired. Been on twice with hits. He scored twice.
Even though that was a grounder to short, that's the hardest ball he's hit tonight, right?
That's right.
Swinging butt in his first at bat, a little chopper over the mound in his second at bat, and hits one off the end of the bat for a ground out to start this 5th inning.
That'll bring up Christian Yelich. He's 0 for 2. He lined out in the 3rd. Had a strikeout his first time up. Now you're coming back to Miller Park with us, I understand. So Rock returns to the booth for the Cardinals series. And then are you doing the Kansas City game?
I'll be doing the Facebook game on a Wednesday, yes. I'll be back in Brew City.
Okay.
Looking forward to it, too.
That's the day game, the getaway day for the Brewers against the Royals. And you'll be manning your MLB colors, working on the Facebook broadcast. So we'll have the first 5 games for you on Fox Sports Wisconsin. The 4 against the Cardinals, off day Monday, and then Tuesday night against Kansas City from the American League, who just traded Kelvin Herrera to the Washington Nationals. There's a swing and a line drive, a base hit for Yelich. Finally rewarded with a knock as Yelich with his first hit of the night.
It's kind of nice. Flew in here Sunday night, had a nice package of 3 Fox Sports Wisconsin shirts, polos.
Another free shirt for you, Dan.
You know what? I'll be posting pictures on Twitter and Instagram wearing my Fox Sports Wisconsin. Figure if I come back and do another series, I'll have like 7 or 8 colors. I won't have to buy any golf shirts for a while, right?
Strong logoing on the shirts as well.
That's
it's,
right.
You
Little
get very
Brewer emblem on the left sleeve and
very NASCAR-like.
Fox Sports Wisconsin on the right.
Wear that proudly there, Dan.
Will do. Getting back to our guy, Bill Schroeder, you think he's found his way to shore yet, or is he still out on the lake? I can see him right now. No sunscreen on yesterday. He's fried. Looks like a lobster's bobber's stuck, right? He can't even fish anymore. Lost contact with everybody at home.
Got the big hat on. We miss you, Rock. Your old buddy, Dan Plesac.
Don't knock the Rock.
You guys formed a nice battery when you were on the mound.
I'll tell you what, you know, we make fun of Bill, and he's an easy guy. He's a fun-loving guy. But I'm going to tell you, there was a time in my career early on in '86, my rookie year. He was a refreshing guy for a young pitcher like me to have. He was a terrific catch-and-throw guy, a big, strong guy. I tried not to like him. I went to NC State. He went to Clemson, so I was kind of bred not to like Rock. And then after I knew him for a couple of years, I really started to dislike the guy. Not because he went to Clemson, but I will say this. We kid around with him a lot. And I know he's a guy that likes to make fun of himself, and he's not afraid to do that. But he was a really good catcher. And I'll tell you what, when I found out I was making the team about a week before spring training, they had Bill drive with me to throw in a AAA game against the San Francisco Giants. And he picked me up, and we met at the Dobson Ranch Inn in Mesa, Arizona. That was then the team hotel for the Brewers. And I remember going to throw in a AAA game against the Giants. And they made Bill go over and catch me for 6 innings. And I'll tell you what, he did it like a trooper. He didn't complain that his one day off, he had to go with some young guy that nobody knew at the time. And I never forgot that. And we had a lot of fun times. We had a lot of good times from 60 feet, 6 inches away. Terrific teammate, a great friend, a great broadcaster. And I just hope he has his floaties on out there in the canoe.
His turtle floaties.
Yes.
Aguilar swings and fouls
You see him
one
like
away.
where you touched on, he's got that thing around his waist, that little balloon thing, right?
Yeah, the unicorn floaty around the waist.
He's like it has squeaky noises. Yeah, right. Yeah, I can see him. Big old hat on. He's just fried. He had no sunscreen on. Bobber's stuck in the water on a rock. He's like snagged.
Farmer's tan.
Yeah, oh, he's rocking everything, right? Cell phone doesn't work. He's mad at his wife.
3-2 pitch. Aguilar takes ball 4. And Jesus continues his perfect day at the plate. He's got a homer, a double, 3 RBIs, and now a walk. That sets the Brewers up in this 5th inning with 2 on and 1 away against Tyone.
Well, this could be an inning right here where the Brew Crew could bust this one open right now. Up 3-0. They've had a couple of chances to get to Tyone. Pitching coach Ray Searage out to take a mound and a visit out to the mound to talk to Tyone. I think more so to buy some time to get some action up in that Pirates bullpen. But this would be a good time. They could bust this game right open right here with a big hit from Thames.
Ray Searage, the former Brewer, fits right in that category with you and Rock, among others that have donned the Brewers uniform. He's been a great pitching coach here. There is activity in that Pirate bullpen. Richard Rodriguez is loose. You got Thames coming up. Perez due next. Not a point yet where you'd want to take out Tyone, but Eric Thames almost launched one out his last time up. Hit a deep fly ball to right, and that felt like more of a game plan strategy meeting for Eric Thames than anything else. Pirates put a shift on. They put 3 infielders on the right side. And Eric Thames up there with 2 on, 1 man out. Takes a first pitch curve low for a ball. Thames had 2 home runs on Sunday afternoon against the Phillies. His first 2 home runs since coming back from the DL. He looks at a strike. Eric is on the Powerball home run leaderboard despite missing 41 games with a torn ligament in his thumb. Travis Shaw and Jesus Aguilar now top the list. Aguilar hit number 14 in the first inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2-1 now. A lot of breaking stuff coming from Tyone against Eric Thames.
You know, that's the one thing we talked to Ray Searage before the game, and one of the things they were hoping that Tyone would be able to have that good curveball. He hasn't had that real good 12-6 hook tonight.
2 on, and that one's in there. It does drop it in this time. 2-2 the count. Steady diet of off speed against Eric Thames. We'll see if that game plan holds up here in a 2-strike count. Yelich, great speed at second base. Aguilar, the runner at first. And Thames reps one foul. He comes back to the fastball, and Eric was all over it.
Well, you can see why now that the Pirates, it looks like a steady diet of off-speed pitches. You go 3 consecutive curveballs in a row, and the 1 fastball, pretty good velo too on at 94 miles an hour, and Thames is able to get the barrel out and hook it foul. So you can tell by that swing right there that Thames is still in that fastball swing mode.
Another 2-2 pitch. Thames pops it up into shallow left. And he got him with an off-speed pitch that time. So Tyone sticks true to the game plan. He retires Thames. 2 outs in the inning now. And it'll bring up Hernan Perez.
That's another cool thing. You're talking strategy in the National League. The pitcher spot coming up third. Tyone to be third up in the next inning. And I'm sure Clint Herter would like to try to get him through this inning here. That way you can go to that bullpen and try to eat up more than like a third of an inning or 2/3 of an inning.
A very high pitch count for 5 innings of work. Not yet 5 innings. Pitch number 94 coming from Tyone. 2 on, 2 out. Runner goes. Yelich, throw down to third base is late. And Yelich able to keep a toe on the bag. A stolen base for Yelich. Got to know you can make it with 2 outs, and Yelich able to swipe third. Pirates want to have a look at this replay.
Boy, doesn't have a very good lead, but a good secondary lead. Taillon in that sequence of pitches, we called it a one look. You could see that Yelich was off to the races. Good job of getting that left hand in and keeping that back foot on the base.
Never let that hand come off the bag. No challenge by Hurdle, so a steal of third. And that brings in the wild pitch. Might give that pitcher a little bit of hesitation to snap off a breaking ball. Cervelli's very good blocking pitches behind the plate. No balls and a strike on Perez. First and third now. Hernan's been a red hot hitter. Had a terrific homestand. 8 hits, 17 at bats on the homestand, including a homer. Hit for a .471 batting average on the homestand. Pretty good sample size now too for Perez. You can probably ditch the "he's hot" adjective and just call him a good hitter. He's getting starts at third base the last 2 days with Shaw out, but over the last 32 games, that's 81 at bats. He's hitting .321. Tonight, Taillon has struck him out twice. Big spot, 2 outs, 1-2 pitch, and he just does stay alive. Aguilar was on the move at first. Jesus going with the sneak attack. Running on the pitch. Cervelli communicating with his infielders now in case Aguilar takes off, and the pitch is a ball. Defense has multiple options, Dan, right? I mean, you can throw through, you can fake a throw. Infielder can cut across the bag. All of it is designed to keep the runner from third from scoring.
I think with Clint Hurdle, what they're doing right now, they're playing the percentages. Perez has had a couple of difficult at bats.
See what Taillon gives him here with 2 strikes. Able to fight it off.
With the speed of Yelich at third base, I would assume that they're going to pump fake and not throw all the way through. If you're the Brewers, you'd ideally like to get it, if you do decide to send Aguilar, to get in some type of rundown between first and second, at least draw a throw to the middle of the infield and give Yelich a chance to read whether he wants to try to go ahead and swipe and come home on a delay.
Another 1-2 pitch. Aguilar stays put, down the line, foul. Perez just missed an extra base hit. Hernan is such a valuable player for the Brewers. He is a manager's dream in that he can play so many different positions. Has 29 starts this year. This is number 30 at 6 different positions. Tonight getting a 6th start at third base. On the ground, big hop for Moran, and that will retire the side. Brewers let an opportunity go by. 2 on with 1 out. Come up empty in the 5th. It's still 3-0.
to positively impact the community. The foundation focuses on health, education, recreation, and basic needs. Brewers Community Foundation thanks you for your support.
All right, Dario, thanks. Here we go to the Pittsburgh half of the 5th inning. The pitch sequencing tonight for Freddie Peralta, Dan, 69 pitches, all but 10 of those fastballs. 8 curveballs, 2 changeups. This will be a pivotal inning here for Peralta. 23 pitches last inning, but he was able to pitch out of a jam. 2 on with 1 out. It was 1st and 2nd with 1 away, and he got Cervelli and Bell to finish the inning. 5 strikeouts for Peralta. Bottom of the order coming up. Gregory Polanco leads off, and Peralta misses inside. Looking ahead to the Brewers' 6th inning. Peralta's spot is due up 4th. So I'm sure Craig Counsell is eager to try to get his young hurler through this one cleanly.
Made quick work of Polanco in his first at bat, struck him out on a high 4-seam fastball away. 2 fastballs right here in this first sequence, ball 1, ball 2, and popped him up.
Good fastball again in the air to center field. Kane is there to make the catch. We're getting just weak contact from that variation of the fastball. We've seen in the fastball as slow as 91 miles an hour, as fast as 95.
You know, he reminds me a lot of a former teammate of mine, Juan Nieves, through the only no-hitter in Brewers franchise history. Same kind of fastball. Juan Nieves was anywhere between 89 to 93 miles an hour. Pitched a lot at the belt, the knees, the belt high fastball. You see a lot of swings. Yeah, you see a lot of swings like on a pitch that's right there, 91, 92, right down the middle. A lot of fly balls. He's not really a ground ball type of pitcher. For as many fastballs as he's thrown tonight, very few have been centered or squared, which leads you to believe there's a good breaking ball right there. If he could just start to do that, Brian, he doesn't have to throw a great curveball, just a good curveball. This one is in the strike zone, down into the bottom of the 3rd. Terrific off-speed pitch. Now that slows a hitter like Mercer down.
0-2 pitch. Mercer, a swing and a miss. Put the fastball right by him.
Textbook pitching from Fast Freddy right there. The curveball, the slow down, the 4-seam fastball that he rides up in the strike zone. I guess the verbiage now, we call it sequencing, but just a great sequence of pitches right here. You see this fastball, it just looks so inviting up in the zone, and it has a little bit of cut action on it. So fastball to start the at-bat, strike 1, curveball to get ahead 0-2, and another fastball to put him away. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And Fast Freddy's getting better as he's going on.
He's gonna get a visit here from his pitching coach, Derek Johnson. This is a scouting report visit to the mound as Jose Osuna will pinch hit for the Pirates. So Taillon's day is over. He goes 5 here tonight, gives up 3 runs all earned. Aguilar drove in all 3, 2-run home run and then an RBI double. Taillon ends up with 7 strikeouts tonight. But the Brewers have him on the hook for the loss as Peralta gets what he needs from Derek Johnson. I'm sure it sounded a lot like, hey kid, just keep throwing that fastball, you're good.
The conventional thinking would be usually normally a guy comes off the bench, and the first thing, they're usually good hunters of the fastball, but his fastball has been in play tonight. Now Freddie Peralta right now, listen, you have a 3-run lead, you're 2 outs in the 5th inning. Go ahead and pour that strike zone and don't be afraid of the fastball.
And he starts him with a fastball, and it's in for a strike. A quick inning here will give Counsell the option to let Peralta continue even 3rd time through the batting order. That's not something Counsell likes to do, especially with the young pitchers. However, a 3-run lead right now. You buy an extra inning the way he is pitching. Peralta showing well in his 3rd big league start. 1 ball, 1 strike. And a wave and a miss.
Back-to-back curveballs. Very impressive. They're starting to incorporate the curveball here, and that's the first sequence tonight that he's gone back-to-back curveballs. Here's the last curveball, almost a 12-6 downer. Now he can ride that 4-seam fastball up in the zone to try to go ahead and for a punch-out.
The 1-2 on the way. There is the fastball and a swing and a foul. He was late. He has got to be, I can hear it in your voice, how enjoyable it is to broadcast a game from a former pitcher. He's got to be a pleasure to catch.
It is, and you know what? He can go back to that fastball again. That wasn't a very good swing. He can go ahead and ride this up a little higher than high. I love it right there.
Good call.
Now you've got a couple of different ways that you can go. If he has the confidence to drop that curveball, I would assume if he throws a good curveball right here, he would have no chance. But you know, he go multiple options. You go fastball back, you can go ahead and go right to the curveball. Throws a curveball for a strike, you'll get him.
2-2. He missed with it. A little slingshot curveball that time. And the count goes to 3-2. He has been a quick yes on the signals. He trusts Manny Pena. And Pena has been locked in with the game plan. Probably feels like anything he puts down would work. Going to go back to the heat here. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The pinch hitter Osuna up there, and a swing and a ground ball right to VR for out number 3, and Peralta keeps it rolling. 3 up, 3 down. He has 6 strikeouts. The rookie going strong in Pittsburgh. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. By Ascension, coming together to give healthcare a better name. We are Ascension. And by Wisconsin Dells, the water park capital of the world. What a picture-perfect night it is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, floating down the Allegheny River. And on the banks of that Allegheny is PNC Park, one of the more picturesque ballparks in the big leagues. Brewers have a 3-0 lead. Clint Hurdle goes to his bullpen, pinch hitting for Tyone last inning. Tyler Glasnow is the first one out of the pen for the Buccos. Brewers with 2 in the first on a 2-run homer by Aguilar set the table tonight. And then Aguilar drove in another one with a double in the third. Kane has scored twice. He's 2 for 3. Aguilar's hit his club tying high 14th home run, tied with Shaw now. It'll be VR, Pena, and Arcia coming up. If anybody gets on, Freddie Peralta would be due. And the way, Dan, he finished that last inning, you would imagine there would be no pinch hit for Peralta in this scenario. He was terrific in the 5th inning, just 13 pitches to go 1, 2, 3 through the order. He picked up his 6th strikeout.
He's been terrific. I thought the 5th inning was his most impressive inning. Incorporated a couple of more curveballs. Fastball command was on point. He's been throwing the ball terrific. He's been better. I had a chance, I saw bits and pieces of his first start against the Rockies, the 13 strikeout performance. But I've been really impressed with his poise, his composure. He doesn't spend a lot of time in between pitches. not shaking off a lot. It looks like a guy that's throwing the ball with a lot of conviction. And I think if you're Craig Counsell right now, you have to be very pleased with what you've seen through 5 innings so far.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Jonathan Villar. He takes a called strike 3, and down he goes.
You know, Tyler Glasnow, this is an interesting guy. A big fastball. At MLB Network, we do this thing 30 teams in 30 days, and I was doing the Tampa Rays, and Kevin Cash told me that the most impressive pitcher that they saw all spring training was from the Pirates, Tyler Glasnow. And I was taken back. He said, if you had a chance to watch this guy throw, I can't imagine that Garrett Cole and or Jamison Taillon have better stuff than this guy. So listen, he's pitching in the bullpen right now, but I don't think long term that the Pirates are thinking that this guy is anything but going to be part of their starting rotation.
Last 2 years he was in the rotation. He made it to the big leagues in 2016. He was a high school pitcher when he was drafted. That was back in 2011. He's from California, and then made it to the big leagues in 5 years. Last year had more opportunities as a starting pitcher. That was his first real chance, and it did not go well for Glasnow.
You
Had
know,
a 7.69 ERA last year in 13 starts.
the difficult thing, Brian, is when you have a young pitcher like this that has a tremendous ceiling, it's easy as an organization to get frustrated and to give up. But I can tell you that there are teams that are lurking for a guy like this, just like the Brewers have had some finds, and Junior Guerra's turned his career around. Yoeli Chacin last night. There are always organizations that are looking for something in particular. The Brewers have hit some home runs with pitchers that have kind of been guys that have been, you know, kind of, I would say, off the radar kind of guys that have pitched great baseball the last couple of years for the Brewers. And I'm sure right now that the Pirates, they're going to give Tyler Glasnow every opportunity to try to fulfill what they think could be a guy that's a front of the rotation type of a guy, not a guy coming into the 6th inning in a game down 3-0.
Well, his biggest problem has been command. He, on average, in his 3 seasons in the major leagues, partial seasons albeit, he is averaging 5.5 walks per 9 as Pena goes to right field. It's hit well, slicing. Polanco is on the run, and that'll end up in foul territory.
That's why I still think the most difficult part about this game, when you're talking about scouting and development, scouting the amateur draft, high school players, I still think the toughest and the most difficult thing is to look at a pitcher and to really look at a guy and say, how do you really think that he's going to project? You take a look at a guy like Charlie Morton, who bounced around for a long time, and then Game 7 of the World Series last year, Charlie Morton pitched the most important couple innings in Houston Astros history and has turned himself now into a top of the rotation kind of pitcher.
Pena back up the middle, a base hit for the Brewer catcher. He's got 2 hits tonight. Turns around a big fastball, and Manny, after his first career triple in the 2nd inning, is 2 for 3. Yeah, maybe the greatest example of that would be Randy Johnson, who turned a career that was volatile when he was with the Expos, and especially when he was coming up in the minor leagues. There were many who were claiming that this big 6'10" left-hander will never survive in the majors. Turned it into a Hall of Fame career once he corralled all that stuff. Arcia on the first pitch, flip to second out there. The throw to first is in time, and it's a double play. And that will end the inning. Peralta, by the way, was indeed on deck. He'll be coming out for the 6th. It's the Brewers 3, the Pirates nothing.
Like, is it okay to go there like a little off thing?
its calories. And by Toyota. Let's go places.
Sun has set here in Pittsburgh, and Freddie Peralta back on the mound. He is working on a shutout through 5, and he has trusted his catcher Manny Pena tonight. Our Badger Mutual Insurance play of the game. We'll look at Manny Pena behind the plate last inning to get Peralta through it.
The game within the game. Take a look right here. Watch Manny Pena. He shakes his head back and forth. What he's doing is he's right now signaling to Freddie Peralta that he wants right there, he wants him to shake off, even though they are throwing the fastball, to go ahead and make sure that that hitter puts some doubt into the hitter's mind.
Freddie Peralta, who has been locked in with Manny Pena. You got to give the catcher a lot of credit. Even the shakeoffs belong to Manny Pena. 2-hitter right now. He has 6 strikeouts. It has been fascinating to watch. And Brewers fans are starting to acquaint themselves with a slew of young pitchers that are performing very well in the minor leagues. This will be the key, though, for Peralta. It'll be a pretty short leash. Peralta does lead off for the Brewers in the top of the 7th inning, but this is the 3rd time through the batting order, and he's got Harrison in a pop-up out of play. Another fastball that gets by him.
Yeah, the reason he's able to get away with that, the first 2 pitches in the sequence, the first we've seen all night. First pitch curveball for a ball, followed it up with another curveball. So what he's done, he's gone slow, and then the fastball that's 92 looks like it's 96 off of the 2 curveballs.
A swing and a miss. Harrison with a big cut. I think he may have lost his back foot there. A slide, a slip.
What makes him so difficult, too, to center is the 4-seam fastball rides, and that one right there has that little cutting action. It's in the zone and out of the zone quickly.
Goes back to it. Ground ball to 3rd. Pick up by Perez. And there is out number 1.
You know, if you watch this tonight, Manny Pena is living proof that even though we have all these different ways to measure scouting reports and pitching, the best pitch in this game of baseball still is the located fastball. He's thrown almost 90% fastballs tonight. Now, granted, he's been riding the 4-seamer up in the zone. It's almost like he has 2 different fastballs, 4-seamer up, that one that cuts down and in. But he's proof that if you believe and throw the fastball with conviction, that you can get big league hitters out.
Peralta with 1 away in the Pirates' 6th inning. Corey Dickerson now, who has 1 of the 2 hits. Both of those hits came in the 4th inning. Dickerson had a line drive single to left. That came on a 2-strike pitch. And then the other hit was by Colin Moran. That was an infield single. Pirates had 2 on, 1 out in that 4th inning with their hottest hitter coming up in Cervelli. And Peralta retired him on a 3-0 fastball. He got him to pop up to center, and then he struck out Bell. Pivotal inning for him. Comes back in the 5th. He retires the side in order. And since that infield hit by Moran, Freddie Peralta has retired 6 in a row. 1 ball, 1 strike on Dickerson. Dickerson has been a great find for the Pirates, hitting for a high average. He is 9th in the league in batting, just ahead of Joey Votto, just behind Nolan Arenado. Came in batting .303. Current average at .305. Matt Kemp is the National League leader in batting average, .338. Comeback player of the year if they had to give it out right now. Matt Kemp, Freddie Freeman, and the former Brewer Scooter Gennett all hitting in the .330s to start play today. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count on Dickerson. Freddie Peralta went back to AAA after his last big league start on May 19th. Made 5 starts in AAA, and he was outstanding. He gave up just 5 earned runs across 5 starts, 2 of those in Colorado Springs, which is a pitcher's nightmare. 2-2 pitch. And the high fastball got him to bite. Foul territory. Not a lot of room back there, and that'll end up on the toe. And beer down.
Man.
Oh, that was a
Come
brand
on,
new one.
Cervelli.
See, that's a giant beer.
Well,
That's the difference in a Brewers fan and every other fan. There's
Right?
no way beer's coming out of that can at Miller Park.
no doubt
chance.
of really, right? Well, there's just one thing of a broken bat, but look at this. Oh, Cerveza down. Wow.
That was a direct
Boy, I'm going to
hit.
boo him from up here. Come on, Cervelli, you're better than that. He's wearing it, too.
Yeah, he is wearing it.
That's a 2 thumbs down.
Man.
Boy, we need him, send him, what, to the beer pen? I don't want to mess that promo up
yeah,
tonight, right?
save
Not the
that one.
bullpen, the beer pen.
Yeah, the dugout is completely boxed right now because
That's a great look,
three-quarters
right?
of that lager is on the dugout.
Man.
Everybody's safe in there. Totally whiffed with his left hand and clean strike in the right hand. 3-2 the count on Dickerson. Might have seen Counsell. I'm no professional lip reader, but that shot we had earlier in this inning, it looked like Counsell was telling Derek Johnson, I'm going to give him through Moran. That would be 4 batters in this inning. He's already retired the first man. And he gets a called strike 3 on Dickerson. He finds the edge this time.
That's one of the few. Listen, there have been some close calls, and none have gone Freddie Peralta's way this way. And I think Dickerson has a legitimate gripe here. This was a curveball, a gutsy pitch on a 3-2 pitch, but it looks like it wraps around that outside corner of the plate. And fortunately for Freddie Peralta and the Brewers, it's a called strike 3. Here's another look at it right here. They intended this ball to be down and in, and you could see from the track right there, that's a couple of inches on the outer half of the plate. But hey, what goes around comes around. We'll take it.
Peralta gets the call. 2 outs in the inning. Starling Marte now with 2 away. Peralta had some big strikeout games in AAA this year. Had an 11 strikeout game just 2 starts ago in Sacramento on June 10th in the Pacific Coast League. He's sitting on 7 Ks right now. That 13 strikeout performance against the Colorado Rockies in his major league debut is his high strikeout game this year in either league, the Pacific Coast League or the National League. 2-0 to Marte, and a high fly ball to right, had Goodwood on it. Back is Thames at the wall. He's got it for the out. Eric Thames makes the catch, and tip your cap to Freddie Peralta. His 3rd big league start is a gem. Likely his last hitter. 6 shutout tonight for the kid. Wisconsin, and Brewers baseball with you wherever you go. And the Brewers tonight have a 3-0 lead. It has been fun to watch Freddie Peralta do his thing on the mound. And it looks like Peralta might be done. Interesting that he's still sitting on the bench. There is just now activity in the bullpen. His spot due to lead off, and now as the pinch hitter is announced, it is official. So Eric Sogard will hit for Peralta, and that'll be the night for the 22-year-old Dan, who goes 6 innings, no runs. He gives up just 2 hits. He strikes out 7, and he retires the last 8 batters he faces.
Last pitch to the fly ball to right field. Pitch number 100 on the night. Perfect outing. I think if you're Craig Counsell right now, coming off a tough loss last night, 1-0, you see him getting some congratulations. I think the big key, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Fast Freddie was large and in charge in the Steel City tonight.
Got a chance to win his 2nd big league game. Sogard, the pinch hitter, and then back to the top of the order, Kane and Yelich. Certainly give credit to the Brewers offense, namely Jesus Aguilar, who gave Peralta an early lead to work with. Aguilar with a 2-run homer in the 1st. He drove in another run with a double in the 3rd. Responsible for all 3 runs on the board tonight. When you look at the Brewers minor league pitching routes, some of those who have elevated to that upper level now, and Woodruff, Adrian Hauser, Corbin Burns continues to shine as Sogard with a base hit to right. So the pinch hitter delivers a single. Sogard is aboard and back to the top of the order. Zach Brown continues to make headlines at the AA level. He was named as a Southern League Pitcher of the Week. I feel like Zach Brown keeps showing up on our minor league report every time he pitches. Biloxi is the AA spot. They won the first half championship. They'll be headed to the postseason. So the Brewers are well stocked with arms, and that's good on 2 levels. One, potential for major league talent, and the other, potential for trade pieces if the Brewers in fact are going to make a run at some pieces to acquire heading into the stretch run in the pennant race.
And it's so important for your minor league system, because a lot of times players at the AA and AAA level, they kind of think that there's a roadblock. There's so many bodies that are there in front of them, and an outing like tonight from Freddie Peralta gives guys hope down in AA and AAA that they're 1 or 2 appearances away from getting a call up into a team that's in first place in the NL Central. And I think the Brewers are giving a lot of young pitchers an opportunity to succeed, and there's a good look at Freddie Peralta. 6 scoreless innings in the book, and it's giving you hope. And I think it speaks well for the Brewers minor league system that what they're doing is right, the way they're going about it, the way they're developing their young pitchers. They're going to get a chance to pitch at the big league level.
2-2 the count on Lorenzo Cain. Zach Davies, by the way, speaking of the minor leagues, is pitching in a rehab start at Colorado Springs tonight. That game will be underway hopefully before we leave the air. A swing and a miss, and Cain is down on strikes.
That's the good breaking ball from Glasnow. You can see bits and pieces why the Pirates are so high on this young guy. He's mid to upper 90s breaking ball, and that's a pretty good breaking ball there that he just struck Lorenzo Cain out on.
Glasnow came in his first inning, gave up a hit to Pena, but a 3-batter inning. He got a double play out of Arcia, had a strikeout, so now 2 punch outs. And with a runner at first, here is Christian Yelich, who is 1 for 3 tonight.
And I think Zach Davies could be really the wild card that the Brewers are looking for the second half of the season, maybe a little bit before the All-Star break. Touch and feel guy. He reminds me a lot of Greg Maddux, moves the ball up and down, in and out. And then Jimmy Nelson hopefully will come back. He had a freak injury last year, diving back into first base of the game at Wrigley. So, I mean, there's hope, and I think a lot of times as a fan, you're always hoping that your team is going to go out and acquire and make a trade, and sometimes the best trades are the ones that you don't make, that the answers and the solutions might be in-house. They could be Zach Davies, they could be Jimmy Nelson, they could be a guy that we saw tonight, Fast Freddie Peralta. the talent is there. It's to get the bodies healthy and get Zach Davies back on being the pitcher that he was in 2017. And he was a terrific pitcher for the Brewers last year.
I think it's pretty understood, pretty well understood, that if Davies is healthy, he is an elite level type pitcher for the Brewers. The fact that he's been pitching with the shoulder tightness. There is concern, though. You know, he's had 2 bouts on the disabled list. There's been the inflammation. They're trying to work through it. And then you start talking about rhythm. He's a field pitcher, Zach Davies. So these minor league starts that Davies will be embarking on beginning tonight are going to be extremely important to know if he's going to be able to contribute here at the big league level this year. He says he's pain free, and he was very encouraged after the process of coming back while he was with the Brewers, the flat ground, and then into the bullpen mound with the side sessions, and said he was able to air it out, and he feels good about where he is right now with his shoulder. He feels like he's gotten past the scary / injury part of it, knowing it's just a little inflammation. Hopefully that's the case, but shoulders can be very tricky.
I saw his start a couple of weeks ago at home against the St. Louis Cardinals, and to me it was typical of a guy that is fighting inflammation or fatigue. It seemed like it took him an inning or 2 to find his groove, find his rhythm.
There goes Sogard, and a swing and a miss by Yelich. He is down on strike. Sogard will steal second, though, and that'll put a man in scoring position for Jesus Aguilar, who has been the star here tonight. Something to smile about, brought to you by Cricket Wireless. No question, Jesus Aguilar has given us plenty to smile about tonight. 2-run opposite field bomb in the first, home run number 14 of the year. And then on a hanging curveball, he drives one to left. He scored Kane. 3 RBIs tonight for Aguilar. Gives him 45 ribbies for the season, and he's responsible for all 3 on the board. 2 outs, runner at second. And that's going to skip away from Cervelli. That goes into the Pirate dugout. And a wild pitch puts Sogard 90 feet away now.
Getting back to Zach Davies, I think one of the classic signs of a guy that's had some inflammation or fatigue, it takes a while, maybe an inning or an inning and 2/3 into appearance. And I saw that in that start against the Cardinals, where it took him a while, but unfortunately, by the time he started to find his rhythm and find his groove, as you were speaking of, there are 3 or 4 runs on the board, and he's the kind of pitcher, he's more of a touch and feel guy. Move the ball up, down, in and out. I've always marveled. I think his best pitch, one of his best qualities, is that fastball that he'll start at a left-handed hitter's hip and bring it back over, that pitch that Greg Maddux brought into play in the late 80s or early 90s. And Zach is definitely the type of guy that he needs to be on point, because he's not going to overpower. I think pitching boils down to 2 things, Brian. You can pitch like Freddie Peralta, and last night Jolie Chassin. You can go fat up and forward, move the ball in and out, or you have to be an overpowering guy. And he is by no means an overpowering pitcher, so he needs to move the ball up, down, that being Zach Davies, in and out. Use the changeup, use the curveball, disguise the fastball, but he's a very good pitcher when he's healthy.
Now the Brewers sitting here in first place and dealing with a lot of injuries to key positions, missing a good chunk of their starting rotation most of the year. Encouraging for Milwaukee. They have counted on their depth, and their depth has been the reason the Brewers sit a half game up over the Cubs starting play today. Guys like Suter and Guerra filling in that rotation, which now creates space for relievers coming out of the minor leagues. Aguilar in a 3-2 count, and a swing and a miss. Glasnow with the big fastball strikes out the side after a leadoff single. Stretch time in Pittsburgh. 3-0 Brew Crew. Louis Cardinals right now to determine if they are going to be buyers or sellers as we get to the trade deadline. Dan Jennings is on the mound for the Brewers. Freddie Peralta is out after 6 shutout, and the bullpen will take over. Jennings, one of the 2 lefties available now after Boone Logan was taken off the big league roster. Jennings will face Colin Moran to start it. He's a lefty. You got Cervelli, the right-hander, and then the switch hitter Josh Bell, who they would prefer to hit right-handed. So Jennings strategically placed and trying to carry on here what Freddie Peralta started.
I think one of the things you look diving into numbers with relievers, 23 first batters that he's seen, and he's retired 21 to 23, and that's always a key for a guy coming out of the bullpen. 1, for Craig Counsell, a guy that he can trust to get people out, and 2, a guy that will come in and throw some strikes.
Spins a breaking ball in there and a foul ball. By the way, we got an update on Zach Davies. So he has started his game. Matter of fact, he's already done. Colorado Springs Sky Sox at home tonight. Rehab start for Davies. 31 pitches. He went an inning and 2/3. Gave up a couple of runs on 3 hits. And so Davies now, day 2 after a start will be the important day to see about the soreness, how the shoulder held up, and hopefully there is a good news report tomorrow on Davies after his minor league rehab start today. Just to finish off that thought on Zach Davies.
Really good pitch there from Dan Jennings. I've always thought the toughest pitch lefty on lefty is a well located fastball down and away. You could take a guy like Colin Moran and make him think the other way. You've won the war. You've taken all the thump out of the bat.
And a ground ball to Arcia, flips it over to first base in time for the out. Nice and easy. And Jennings retires the first batter faced. Moran is out. He's 1 for 3 tonight. And Brewer pitching has now retired 9 straight. Peralta retired the last 8 he faced. Jennings gets his first man.
Another fastball, another well-located fastball. 2-1 count, locates a well-located fastball down and in. Runs a fastball in on Colin Moran, gets the easy ground ball to shortstop. It's been a night of well-located fastballs between Freddie Peralta and, so far, Dan Jennings through the 1 hitter we've seen.
See that number on his glove, 43. That was his number with the White Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays. That number not available to him as he came to the Brewers. Matt Albers claimed 43. No sense in getting rid of a perfectly good glove, though. So 43 remains. Jennings has been a nice pickup for Milwaukee.
Some of the players with deep pockets, that'll cost you a Rolex, a car, right?
Not giving up that number.
No, when I was with the Blue Jays in spring training of I believe it was 1997, Carlos Delgado wore number 21, and that was the jersey number that Roger Clemens wanted. So you know what? Carlos Delgado gave it up for a new Rolex.
Is that right?
For a Rolex, yes.
How many Dan Plesac 19s did you have to give up?
No, you know what, though? That'd be like if I wanted to use your headset, I'd buy you a set of Pro V1s. I'm not getting you a Rolex. I can tell you that. I'll let you knock a dozen Pro V1s into the pond.
Quick release by Jennings, and he caught Cervelli by surprise, a strikeout.
You know what? In a day and age, we talked about it last night, deception and angles. We won't call it a quick pitch, but a speed-up delivery. And what it does, it really throws the timing. And pitching is about deception and angles. And Dan Jennings does a terrific job right there. You'll see him come up and then boom, no set. And look at Cervelli right there. That's one of those howdy if you're waving at me.
Oh, you gotta love it. You can't do that with runners on base. But Jennings, who always pitches from the stretch, most relievers do, even with nobody on, able to use the sneak attack.
Crafty lefties, aren't they? Strange breed, these lefties.
And you would know, although probably everything in your world is normal.
It is. It is. Boy, no truer words were ever spoken, Brian Anderson.
Everybody else is abnormal. You're right
Right.
where you need to be.
I would be out on that canoe with Bill Schroeder right now thinking the world is just fine. Bill right now, he just starched, right? Has no cell phone reception. He can't fish. His line's hooked on a tree underneath the water.
Supposed to be a vacation.
Right, come on, Rock.
It's all tangled up with an old boot.
Yeah, right? He's talking to himself by now like, where's Brian Anderson? I wonder what inning the Brewers are in right now. Can't get the scores on his at-bat app right now. He's all angry.
Word is from his wife, Kate, that he's been talking in his sleep in the middle of the night, and the first thing out of his mouth is, tonight's tavern of the game.
Right? From Sheboygan.
We're glad to have the big lefty out of the bullpen, Dan Plesac, join us while Rock is on a brief sabbatical.
He'll be back in action
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Redbirds in town in Brew City.
Bell fouls off the 2-2. He was way late on the fastball.
Big 4-game set. Looking for some separation a little bit in this NL Central race. Cards 4 games back entering play tonight.
Now, these are key games right now, especially for St. Louis in Philadelphia. That game yesterday was a gut punch to the Cardinals. St. Louis had taken a lead, and they had tied it in the 9th, and then they took the lead in the 10th inning, 5-4, and then the Phillies come up and score twice in the bottom of the 10th to win that game. And then game 2 tonight of that series in Philadelphia, and the Phillies have a 4-2 lead in that one, as Craig reported. It's now in the 7th inning. Little half swing by Bell. Bell looks like a wreck right now, right-handed against Jennings.
Well, he's throwing him everything but the kitchen sink. He's throwing the breaking ball. He's backdoored. He's gone fastball up and away. Very uncomfortable at bat so far for Josh Bell.
The switch hitter, and he chops one foul. That's one of the better swings he's had, but just got a piece of it. Josh Bell looked like last year he was trending as one of the more productive hitters in this National League Central. But it has been a struggle this year for the switch hitter. See what Jennings has in mind for him. 2-2. Pena sets up inside. Jennings comes in there. He misses. Last year, Bell, at age 24, hit 26 home runs. Drove in 90. First full season in the big leagues, and it was a breakout year for him. And he draws the walk, and Jennings is upset. He knew he had him on the ropes with 2 strikes, but lets him get away. It's a 2-out walk.
Well, here it is. I stayed up all night for this. This is the Miller Lite Tavern of the game. Opie and Tammy's Country Corners in Medford. If the tavern calls the Milwaukee Brewers by 10 a.m., they will receive 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. This offer is courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. And I think Rock has been to Opie and Tammy's. I would bank on that.
No question. In Medford.
Sunburned, hat on, shorts, t-shirt.
You ever spend any time in Medford?
No, but I think I've driven through Medford a few times on a couple of golf excursions. I think, you know, we were talking about this the other day. Some of the best golf in the major leagues is in the state of Wisconsin.
No doubt.
There is some terrific golf in the Milwaukee metro area.
That's a big amen from this side of the fence. More underrated golf cities in Milwaukee and golf communities that I've ever seen. I had no idea, and I was deep into the golf world before I arrived in Milwaukee. 2 gone in the inning for Jennings, facing Polanco. 0-2 the count.
Like that last pitch right there, a little 2-seam fastball that he runs in on Polanco. If he wanted to, he could go to that big sweeping breaking ball. You make a guy aware of the ball in, it buys you a lot of real estate on that outer third. See if he throws that big sweeper.
0-2 the count. Polanco lays off. This will probably be Jennings' last hitter regardless. Jeremy Jeffress is ready in the bullpen. You figure he would have Mercer. If Mercer bats in this inning, he'll represent the tying run. So Jennings knows he can sell out. Retired the first 2 batters. Let Bell get away with a walk. Brewers leading 3-0. It's been comfortable on the mound thus far. Pirates put up a threat in the 4th inning. Freddie Peralta got out of that jam, had 2 on and 1 out. Only once have the Pirates had multiple runners reach base in an inning. And a swing and a foul by Polanco.
Another good pitch on that inner third of the plate. That was one thing I struggled with. My ball had a natural cut on it, Brian, and so I had a difficult time running the ball into lefties. He certainly doesn't have, Dan Jennings doesn't have that kind of an issue, but over the years of watching Polanco, he's very susceptible to that breaking ball away. He's made him aware of that ball in. And I think if he can locate this breaking ball and keep it a little bit more on the strike zone and just break it out late, I think you'll be a good chance to get a swing and a miss right here. He's made aware of the fastball in twice, and there's no way that he can cover both that inside corner and that big sweeping breaking ball away.
High pitch count here for Jennings. Most of that coming in the Josh Bell at bat. And Polanco got the fastball, able to check his swing. Well, he put it in a good spot, did Dan Jennings. That's a dangerous spot in there against a power hitter like Polanco. Even though he's having a down year, he's still hit 9 homers this season.
I'd like to see the break. They're going back in with a fastball again.
2-2 the count. Bell at first. Big pitch for Jennings. He deals it, and Polanco is able to fight it off.
See, I've always felt that, Brian, when you have a hitter like Polanco, if you watch that front hip, it's almost leaking. So anything from that outer third of the plate away, he's not going to be able to hit it with any authority. That front hip is kind of opening up towards first base. His shoulders are opened up. There's very little left for him but to swing all arms. With a pitch that's located down and away, there really isn't much that he can do with anything right now.
2-2, do it again. Jennings deals another fastball, and Polanco, he's late on it, but he's able to foul it off. He has been hanging tough against Dan Jennings. And a good battle going here between Jennings and Polanco. Polanco's 0 for 2. Peralta struck him out once, got him to fly out the other time. Next one, drive, right field, hooking, foul. That is a dangerous zone down and in to Gregory Polanco.
This is one of those where you like to have like that headset that an NFL quarterback, like Dan.
Yeah.
Slider down and away. Ahora, right now, please. Slider down and away. You've gone in enough. Down and away.
Pena sticking with that inside pitch. 2-2 on the way. Fastball missed. Nine pitch at bat thus far. Mercer waiting on deck. Pitch number 10. Bell's going to take off at first. 3-2 pitch and a swing and a little liner into right field, a base hit. Josh Bell on his way to third, and Polanco wins the battle. A 10-pitch battle it was. The Brewers weren't going to budge on that inside pitch, and Polanco made him pay. And now the tying run will bat.
Well, the only issue with that is when you have a guy that's leaking like Polanco wasn't at a bat, you're kind of throwing the ball right to where he's running away from. That front shoulder, that front hip is opening up. You see how he's pulling away? The only thing, Brian, that he can get the barrel of the bat to is something that's on the inside corner of the plate. That front hip is opening up, and so you're throwing that fastball that's coming into him. You're throwing it right into where he's running away from.
And Jennings, who got off to a promising start in the 7th, will exit with 2 runners on base. Pittsburgh threatening. Jeremy Jeffress coming in to face Jordy Mercer. Tying run coming to the plate. with the tying run coming up.
Best kept secret right now in the National League. Everything about this guy you have to love. Forget about the 5-0 record, the ERA of 0.52. Every good bullpen needs a troubleshooter, a guy that you can bring in with runners in scoring position to come in with men on base. And this guy's as good as anybody in the National League.
He has had an all-star caliber season. Hader has drawn a lot of the headlines, rightly so. But Jeremy Jeffress has been as stingy as anyone in the major leagues among relievers. What a spot he is in right now. The Pirates putting up their best threat. There are 2 outs, but a power hitter at the plate in Mercer. Last night, Mercer faced Hader in a scoreless game when 2 outs, and he doubled down the left field line. Pirates would win the game 1-0. Mercer has struck out twice. Jeremy Jeffress, the second lowest ERA among relievers. And a high fly ball pulled foul. Mercer was ready to pounce on that one. At 97 miles an hour, he pulls it into foul territory down the left side.
Well, that's one of the things when you're seeing a pitcher that is confident in what he's doing. A lot of pitchers will get in this spot first and third. You run a count at 2-0, 2-ball, no strike count to a good fastball hitter in Mercer. But you can tell by just the presence on the mound that Jeremy Jeffress really believes in his stuff. And he has 2 weapons. He has that good fastball and also that good cut fastball that has some good swing and miss action to it to right-handers.
2 balls and a strike. Mercer takes one outside. Dangerous bat at the plate. Coming up next, Austin Meadows, talented young left-handed hitter. Hitters count, runners at the corners. Brewers lead 3-0. And a line drive into the gap in left center. Yelich able to cut it off. Bell's going to score. Mercer into second base with a double. An RBI double for Jordy Mercer. He gets Hader last night. He gets Jeffress tonight. And it's 3-1 Brewers. And now the Pirates with runners at second and third and 2 outs.
Just like last night, fastball inner third. Mercer 97 miles an hour. Gets the barrel to it. Last night he took a Josh Hader fastball and just kept it just inside the bag at third base. Another fastball inner third. Likes that ball inner third. A good fastball hitter.
So this Brewers bullpen, which has been locked down all year, the last week or so, has shown some signs of breaking a little bit, at least a bit of a correction. Derek Johnson might have spotted something mechanically. Maybe a scouting report here for Austin Meadows. This is a young hitter who has an extremely quick bat. He can hit the fastball as well as anyone in this Pirates roster.
You know, you don't like to think this way in a negative way, but if you're Jeremy Jeffress, if you're not completely comfortable with the situation, you do have a base open. The tying run is at second base, and you can't worry about that open bag at first base. You have to make good pitches here to Austin Meadows, and you do have a right-hander in Josh Harrison on deck.
This is a spot where Jeffress has a great weapon against lefties, that split change. Big spot, 2 outs, second and third. Meadows takes a strike.
Good curveball right there. I think that's what Jeremy's going to have to do, mixing that breaking ball. It's been a pretty steady diet all night with the Brewers pitchers with fastball, fastball, fastball. And a good thing to slow down a guy coming off the bench with a first pitch breaking ball.
Meadows late, fouls it away. Meadows came to the big leagues with a lot of praise, a lot of headlines. One of the top prospects in the game. Pirates couldn't wait to get him here. He made an impact right away. Was the player of the month, rookie of the month in the National League. Got off to a great start. 23-year-old Austin Meadows, former first rounder. Jeffress has him 0-2. Tying run at second base, 3-1. Pirates have just scored. Jeremy deals, and there's the split change again, and then Meadows didn't bite.
Good split finger in a good location. Have a couple of pitches to mess with here if you're Jeremy Jeffress. Have a base open at first base. Really important that you make Austin Meadows swing at a pitch that you want to make and not get yourself back into this count.
Meadows, in his early run here in the big leagues, has been a pretty free swinger, hasn't walked much. Here's a 1-2 and a fastball at 99 misses, not by much. Yikes. That's as firm as Jeffress has thrown one all season. Reared back and gave it everything he had with that one.
The only reason you take that if you're Austin Meadows, you saw the split finger on the pitch before that. That was a well-located fastball. Now, if you're Jeffress, you can go either way. You go back to the split after that fastball in.
See what he does. 2-2 pitch. Got more of the plate than he wanted, but it got it by the hitter.
A little bit of a defensive swing too, Brian. That was a really good pitch. His location on his fastball has been on point. You can go a couple of different ways right now. He's made him aware of that fastball in. A good split finger down and away right here might be just what the doctor ordered.
Jeffress is pumped up. He's got the adrenaline working. 99-mile-an-hour fastball, the hardest one he's thrown all season. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 on. Jeffress deals, and another fastball. Meadows is late again. Meadows not getting the start here in the first 2 games of this series. He got a start on Sunday in center field. He's hitting .326 in his first 26 games in the big leagues. He's played all 3 outfield spots. He is a dangerous bat. Even though he's a rookie, he is a high-level hitter. 2-2 the count, and he got him. The splitter strikes out Meadows, and Jeremy Jeffress comes up big when it counts. An RBI double by Mercer. Runners at second and third. Down he goes. The split change, and Jeffress holds serve. It's 3-1 Brew Crew. Beyond the diamond. Fox Sports Wisconsin remembers our friend Davey Nelson. Special edition of Spotlight. It airs Saturday at 6:30 p.m. after Brewers Live postgame. Emmy Award winning Davey Nelson. What a great man. What a great life he led. And we miss him badly. That'll be a fantastic production. They've been working hard putting that together. And we hope you enjoy that on Saturday. Davey Nelson got the golf tournament coming up. Here in Pittsburgh, we are in the 8th, and Jeremy Jeffress walking the tightrope, able to strike out Meadows to end the inning. Now it'll be Edgar Santana to face Eric Thames. Brewers lead 3-1. Thames, Perez, VR coming up for Milwaukee. Big shift is on with Thames at the plate. Every now and then Thames will show bunt. A guy who has hit leadoff and tonight hits in the cleanup spot. He's hit all up and down the lineup. Craig Counsell was asked about Eric Thames and his approach, the fact that he's been a leadoff batter here recently. Tonight he's hitting cleanup with Travis Shaw out of the lineup, and Counsell just had a laugh, had a great line. He goes, it's not like he goes up there and puts on his leadoff costume. He's the same hitter, just hitting in a little different spot in the batting order tonight. No Braun in the lineup. Travis Shaw dealing with that wrist injury, not expected to be serious. Dario reported earlier tonight that there is a good chance that Shaw could be in the lineup tomorrow for the finale of the series. So Thames is the cleanup man tonight.
Turning into a battle of the bullpens. Jeffers does a nice job picking up Dan Jennings. Big 93-mile-an-hour power split finger for the strikeout of Meadows to get out of the 7th.
It's as hard as Jeffers has thrown this year. Threw a fastball at 99. And that split change normally rides in the 89 to 91 range. He powered that last one up at 93. Jeremy said he likes to throw it hard because the harder he throws it, has the long fingers, right? And he can really spin that pitch. And it dove down to the bottom of the zone. Thames a swing and a miss. He's down on strikes.
You know, one of the things you want to do when you throw that split finger is you want to make sure that you have good finish and good follow through. And that last pitch that Jeremy threw to strike out Meadows, that's it. You hear this old saying in pitching, and I think so much of it is true, that you don't want to throw the ball to the glove. You want to throw the ball through the glove. And I think that's when you're talking about getting extension and getting ride and getting that four-seam spin and getting that late tumble effect like that last pitch to Austin Meadows was terrific from Jeremy Jeffers.
Hoping that is the last real push by the Pirates, although Pittsburgh will have their top of the order coming up in the 8th inning. Harrison, Dickerson, and Marte are due up in the 8th. Jeremy Jeffers will continue on here. He is a multiple inning reliever. Hader and Jeffers are the two pitchers that Counsell is comfortable using in multiple innings.
I always felt one of the toughest things coming out of the bullpen, Brian, you come into a situation like he did, and you come out guns a-blazing, you're warming up, you see the troubles all in front of you when you're walking in from the mound. You get the big strikeout of Meadows, then you have to come in and dug out and you sit down, you wrap your arm in that towel, and you still have that adrenaline. Then you have to try to go out and recreate that momentum again when you come out into the 8th inning.
Slow roller foul by Perez.
It's something that over time you learn it with experience. You come off the mound, you have this huge adrenaline rush. You see him right there. You kind of you feel like you have a 3-1 lead. You're almost hoping in some way that you have a quick 1-2-3 inning, because deep down you feel like you don't need any more runs. You can't wait to get back there on the mound, and the longer that the inning prolongs, the more you tend to tighten up, and you feel like you have to fight to get yourself back in that upbeat mode that you were in coming in from out of the bullpen.
By the way, a star for the epic haircut for Jason Schauger, the Brewers equipment manager. Stellar. Perez a swing and a miss. Down he goes on strikes. The last 5 Brewer hitters have all struck out. Glasnow struck out 4 in his 2 innings. And now 2 punch outs here for Santana. It's going to bring up Jonathan VR. 3-1 Brewers. They scored all their runs early. 2-run homer Aguilar in the first. Aguilar drove in another with a double in the third. Pirates just got on the board with an RBI double by Mercer. And VR takes a strike.
Brewers lost last night 1-0. Trying to even the series with a win tonight, give themselves a chance to win the series tomorrow in the finale. VR on the ground. Harrison, and that will retire the side. Quick inning for Santana, puts Jeremy Jeffress back on the spotlight. 6 outs to get. The Brewers have a 3-1 lead. How many former Brewer lefties does it take to change a light bulb?
Many. Let's just leave it at that.
Domingo
Many.
Santana will enter the game in right field, so Council tightens up defensively. Thames is out. Jeremy Jeffress back on the mound. He will face Josh Harrison to start it. Harrison, Dickerson, and Marte coming up. 6 outs to get. Council doesn't think of his relievers by innings. He thinks of them by outs. Corey Knebel often will go more than an inning. So if it gets dicey for Jeffress, he could have Knebel come in. He doesn't like to have Knebel enter the game until there are 2 outs in the 8th. If he does go multiples, he'll try to get him for an inning and a third. Jeremy came in to get the last out of the 7th. Ideally, Jeremy gets through this 8th inning and it sets the stage for Knebel in the 9th. Trying to get through this game without having to use Hader. Harrison, a swing and a miss, and a good start for Jeffress as he strikes out Josh Harrison.
Awfully impressive, Jeremy Jeffress. I think he's the best kept secret in the National League coming out of the bullpen. We had a shot at the last pitch of the Austin Meadows, the last out of the 7th inning. Look at this split changeup grip right there. This is a pitch that has this great tumbling action. And what makes this pitch so difficult to hit, it has that quick rotation. And watch this right-hand turn. This thing has a right-hand turn on it. It's in the zone and out of the zone quick. And when you throw 97 to 99 miles an hour, you have to get started to hit the fastball. It makes that pitch nearly impossible to hit.
The fact that he's throwing that pitch with that kind of grip, with his thumb not even on the bottom of the baseball, so there's no resistance from the thumb. He puts his thumb on the side, a lot like Raleigh Fingers through the splitter. He's throwing that pitch 7-8 miles an hour harder than Raleigh did.
Well, one of the keys, Brian, the further you run your thumb up on the baseball, there's a pop-up in the infield.
And that'll be out number 2 to Arcia.
The more you run your thumb up on top of the ball, the more you have it tucked underneath, the more flexion you have in your wrist. So what Jeremy Jeffress does on that split change, he'll ride the thumb up almost to touch his pointer finger. And what it does is it allows, you don't have as much freedom in your wrist. So you'll have the good arm speed and any good changeup or any good split finger. The key is you have to have the same arm speed, because as a hitter, you're trying to pick up the arm slot, but you're also reading arm speed. And the key is good arm speed, and that ball, it just doesn't get there.
First ball swinging, Starling Marte deep into center field, and this one will fly. He was waiting on a first pitch fastball, and he got it. And it's a 1-run game now. Home run number 9 for Marte. 2-out blast by the Pirates center fielder, and it's a 3-2 ball game.
Brewers pretty much had Marte in check, 0 for 3 coming in this at bat. Fastball up in the zone, 96 miles an hour, that he drives to the gap at right center field. You touched on it, Brian. The only way that you can hit this, if you're going up with a pretty good idea that you're going to get a first pitch fastball. He got it and didn't miss it.
Pirates knocking at the door now. Down a run. Brewers led 3-0 after 3 innings. But Pittsburgh has scored in each of the last 2 innings as Jeffress deals a strike to Moran.
Good idea right there after you give up the home run. First pitch, that curveball in for a strike. So if Moran had any thoughts of trying to ambush Jeremy on the first pitch, that pitch served to slow that bat speed down just a little bit.
There's the split change, misses down and away. Came in at 96, left the bat of Marte at 102 miles an hour. And the second home run we have seen into the right center field bleachers tonight. Aguilar hit a 2-run shot in the first there. There's a strike. 1-2 the count. 3-2 ball game. Jefferson out away from going an inning and a third. And the 1-2 is in there for a called strike 3. Locked him up with the split change. And Jeremy Jeffress gets through the 8th, but the Pirates do strike. Marte with a homer makes it 3-2. Check-in offers, exclusive content, Brewers Bingo, and much more. You can download the Ballpark app today, free for your smartphone or tablet. You're welcome to donate an app. but make sure you download it. Manny Pena ready to lead off for Milwaukee as we go to the 9th inning, looking for some insurance now. They have been clinging to a lead throughout this game that is now down to 3-2. It's going to be the hard-throwing Kyle Crick. We saw him last night. He was impressive, and he will face Pena here in the 9th.
It's just amazing industry-wide, not only with the Brewers, the Pirates, but throughout Major League Baseball, just a quality number of arms, mid to upper 90s, and Crick certainly fits that bill. We saw him last night, another hard thrower. At times gets a little happy with his slider. He'll go one after another. Loses a little bit of confidence in his fastball, but another big arm of that Pirate bullpen.
Manny Pena's had a good night tonight. 2 hits. He's 2 out of 3. Brewers getting some production from the bottom of the order. 2 hits from the 7 spot in Pena. Arcia has a hit tonight. And Eric Sogard pinch hitting in the 9 hole in the order, had a pinch hit single. Pena takes a strike. Mark this one down. 2nd inning, a major league first for Manny Pena. His first career triple in the big leagues. Those hamstrings are barking right about there. Pena gets jammed. Little roller out to short. Mercer will make the play for the out. You get offense from a catcher, especially tonight. There's a little added stress on a guy like Manny Pena in a game like this. Catching a young pitcher, a rookie. Navigated Freddie Peralta very well through 6 shutout innings.
Very impressive. And I think a lot of times it goes unnoticed and it's not talked about enough. That pitcher-catcher relationship, and there's something to it. You could look at what Yadier Molina, who's caught the most games by any team in Major League Baseball last night with the Cardinals. There's a calm that a good catcher brings, that he provides, particularly to a young pitcher like Freddie Peralta. Kept Freddie upbeat, kept him moving, using all of his pitches. We talked about in the pregame, incorporating some of the off-speed, 100 pitches, 18 curveballs, 3 changeups, enough to throw the Pirate hitters just off to not going up there completely selling out, looking for fastball. A terrific job by Manny Pena tonight, walking and getting Freddie Peralta through 6 scoreless innings.
Ball and a strike on Arcia. Inside, waiting for the pain. Probably feels like that went through him. You could hear the yelp of Orlando Arcia. Francisco Cervelli looked at him like, what's the matter, man? The ball didn't even hit you.
Well, that had Tracer written all over it. Little 2-seam fastball, upper 90s. It's easy for those guys behind home plate that are laughing, right? They've got a screen in front of them, Brian.
That did not sound like a human sound that came out of Arcia. Take a listen. He's all right. He lived to tell about it. 3-1 the count. Arcia fouls it away.
Something tells me if this holds up and the Brew Crew hang on and win this one, he's going to be catching some grief after this one. That's going to be queued up in the video after on the post game, right?
No doubt. Full count to Arcia. And he hits one sharply into center field, but Marte playing deep will make the catch. Arcia is really starting to get it going at the plate. He's hit the ball on a line 4 times in the last 2 games. You like to see that. Maybe he's coming out of it. Don't forget, the Brewers and Pirates are back at it tomorrow. Miller Lite, what's on tap? It'll be Chad Kuhl against Brent Suter. Final game of the series. 5:30 is airtime. First pitch just after the 6 o'clock hour Central. Suter's been pitching fantastic baseball lately. And he'll be up once again tomorrow against Chad Kuhl. The Brewers are hoping it is a game that could give them a series win. They'll have to hang on to win this one tonight. Ryan Braun will pinch hit. Always a fan favorite here in Pittsburgh. There have been years of Ryan Braun taking down the Pirates. Maybe the biggest home run Ryan Braun has ever hit in his career came against the Pirates. A grand slam in the pennant race of 2008. There was a beanball incident. The reason Braun wears that elbow pad that he's wearing now is because of a Pittsburgh Pirate beanball scenario. That was earlier in his career. I remember when he first got hit, he didn't like to wear anything on his arms, his wrist, elbows, and he fought wearing that elbow brace for years. Finally, not only does he wear it at the plate, he just started to wear it all the time, even when he's in the field. Braun stands far away from home plate. And a big swing and a miss.
It's kind of tough. You sit for almost 9 innings, you come off the bench and you get a 2-0 breaking ball from Crick that's down in the strike zone and backs that up with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. But that's one of the things when you're Ryan Braun, you're not going to be pitched like just some guy coming off the bench.
2-2 to Braun. Braun dribbles one out in front of home plate. Cervelli will make the play to win the inning. And Crick puts up a 0. Now bottom 9 coming. Corey Knebel, the all-star closer, trying to nail this one down. 3-2 Milwaukee. Bottom of the 9th from Pittsburgh. With 6 shutout innings against the bullpen, though, the Pirates have answered twice. Jeremy Jeffress giving up an RBI double to Jordy Mercer in the 7th, and then Starling Marte with a homer in the 8th. And so now it is a 1-run game, Dan, with Corey Knebel on the mound, 3 outs away from a save, which would be his 7th.
Looks like he's all the way back from a hamstring injury. 2-pitch mix. Big fastball, big overhand curveball. I think that's his blanket, that needing that curveball makes that fastball a lot better. When he can drop that curveball over for strikes behind in the count, makes him nearly impossible to center and hit the ball off of.
Francisco Cervelli will lead off. 0 for 3 tonight, always ready to fire on that first pitch. And Cervelli gets the curveball, and Knebel gets the call for strike 1.
You know, this day and age right now where the 4-seam fastball plays, it's almost like the way that hitters approach the game right now. It feeds right into what Corey Knebel wants to do, right? That fastball up in the zone, that 12-6 tight curveball that he'll drop in for a strike.
No balls and a strike on the Pittsburgh catcher. There's the high fastball. Knebel did pitch on Sunday. The Brewers have found over the last couple of years that long periods of inactivity for Knebel, even though he's a power pitcher, there's a lot of feel involved in the curve. And it's best to get him out there whenever they can. So he pitched in a non-save situation. Even though the Brewers had a big comeback, they actually got within a run against the Phillies on Sunday in that 10-9 loss. Knebel gave up a home run to Odubel Herrera in that game, but he settled down nicely, had a couple of strikeouts. He has not been great in non-save situations. Has 2 blown saves this year. And a fine line to work with tonight. 1-run lead, 9th inning in Pittsburgh. 1-2 pitch. 2-2 now.
What he does so well, that fastball normally sets up that good curveball. That's consecutive fastballs up in the zone to Cervelli. If he wants to take the chance, this might be the time to go ahead and roll that curveball over.
Don't see the kind of velocity out of Knebel you normally see. He's hit 96 here tonight. 2-2 and a fastball at 97. Plenty on that one.
Boy, terrific sequence of pitches right there. Up, up, up. 3 fastballs in a row. Cervelli in very much in that aggressive swing mode. Take advantage of it. We've seen hitters nowadays, that 4-seam fastball up looks so inviting to hit, but so very difficult to put in play. There's another look at it right here. 4-seam fastball. Here's the curveball. So there's the sequence of pitches. Down, down, and then up, 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 and 97 chest high to Cervelli for the punch out.
Here is Josh Bell now. First pitch curve lands the plane for strike 1. Anytime Knebel is dropping the curveball in for strikes, he is at his best. You think about the arc on that curveball. He's one of the few closers that throws a curveball. There's another one, a dandy. Late breaking action on that one. 0-2 the count.
What makes it such a tough pitch to throw for strikes and get called for strikes at times, Brian, this is a terrific one right here. It's a tough pitch for umpires to call for balls and strikes because at times it fools the umpire because it has that late breaking action, particularly the curveballs that are knee high or just a little bit below.
Pena wants it upstairs. The 0-2 pitch right down the middle, but at 98. And that's going to slice into the seats. Good effort there by Yelich. He gave it a run. He's all smiles with the fans.
I thought one of the big differences when Clayton Kershaw turned the corner for the Dodgers, he came up basically as a fastball curveball pitcher, but that curveball, he had a difficult time getting it called consistently for strikes, incorporated that cutter, and that opened up a whole new world for Clayton Kershaw.
Knebel shakes a couple of times. He wants the hook. 0-2 the count on Bell. Bell didn't bite. It makes sense when you think about where a curveball comes out of the hand, right, for a pitcher, and the arc of a curveball. If you talk about plane, it makes sense that a high fastball would be the perfect complement to it. And Knebel has turned it into an art form. The 1-2 and a fastball that eats him up. It's a foul ball. And you're already in a timing disadvantage when you're facing a fastball at 98. So the curveball, as a change of pace pitch, can give a hitter fits anyway, but when it's located well, looking like the same pitch coming out of the hand. Early in his career, coming up through the minor leagues in the Tigers system and then eventually with the Rangers, he didn't have the same release with those 2 pitches. That's been the big change.
Verbiage we hear nowadays in 2018, tunneling, pitching out of that tunnel. The fastball rotation, the 4-seam high fastball along with that curveball, it makes it difficult, particularly if you throw it out of the same arm slot, which Corey has been able to do over the last couple of seasons.
2-2 to Bell. High fly ball, left field, going to hang up there for Yelich. And there is out number 2, and the Brewers are an out away from a win tonight in Pittsburgh. Knebel has retired the first 2. And a good battle there with Josh Bell. Remember, Bell worked a walk and scored the run in the 7th inning. That was off Dan Jennings. So a good hitter to retire. And now Gregory Polanco, and this is the guy that scares you right now. He's having a down year, but he's got some thunder in that bat.
Yeah, the one thing you have to really be careful if you're Knebel in this spot is that curveball that's down and in. He's like most lefties. He bails a little bit, and that curveball that's down and in is going right into that sweet spot. So anything up in the zone, I think you can go ahead and pound this guy 4-seam fastballs upstairs. He looks like right now, from what we've seen tonight, Brian, he's having a difficult time getting to a good fastball. Try not to speed his bat up in that breaking ball down and in. If you're going to throw it down and in, make sure that you bounce it or below the strike zone.
Has some success against Knebel. 3 hits and 9 at-bats. And Knebel falls behind him 2-0. It's a dangerous hitter on deck that has hurt the Brewers already in this series. Jordy Mercer. Polanco had a 10-pitch battle with Dan Jennings in the 7th inning, resulting in a single to right. 2-0 pitch. He missed with a curve, and now it's 3-0. And Knebel in trouble.
This is where you can't sell out and just worry about getting back into this count, Brian. This is where if you have conviction, you have to make a good pitch. You have a righty on deck, and I know Mercer has kind of been a pain to the Brewers, but you just can't lay something in here to Polanco.
3-0. Curveball 3-0 gets the strike, to your point.
And I think you go right back to that again. Polanco's up there one thing right now. He's a free swinger. This isn't a guy that's looking to just to try to get on base. He's looking to tie this game with one swing of the bat. And if I'm Knebel right now, go to the breaking ball again.
Polanco asking for timeout there, granted by the home plate umpire.
And I think what you can do right here, if you can get a breaking ball, get back into the count, then you might be able to buy yourself another 4-seam fastball if you get the count to 3-2.
Knebel in a 3-1 count. Curveball misses. Ball 4. Tying run is on. Polanco with 2 good at-bats here at the end of this game. And the last guy the Brewers want to face in a spot like this is Jordy Mercer.
Well, from what we've seen the first 2 games of this series, strong middle-in hitter with a fastball. If Knebel's been watching what we've seen so far tonight, keep the ball away. Preferably use the breaking ball. Stay away from that inside fastball. Hit a good fastball in off Josh Hader last night, and another good fastball that was in. It was 97 from Jeremy Jeffress.
Well, if Mercer has success on Knebel here, he will have gone through the 3 best relievers the Brewers have in Hader, Jeffress, and Knebel. Had a key hit last night, driving in the lone run of the game. Earlier tonight with the RBI double. I was back in the 7th. Knebel can be run on. He has a slow release to the plate, like a lot of closers do. Polanco is a base stealer, especially in a spot like this. Mercer takes a strike right down the middle. Makes you wonder if Mercer was giving Polanco a chance to take off. That's the tying run at first.
This is a spot right now if you're Corey Knebel. If your game is not very well suited for holding runners, you can't worry about that. Your attention right now is at that glove with Manny Pena.
And a check on Polanco. That's about as good of a move as you'll get out of Knebel. He'll throw over there to let him know he's paying attention.
I just find it hard to believe, especially when you get ahead in the count right now. There's several options. If you're Craig Counsell and you feel as though you have the opportunity to go ahead and try to pitch out, I would be surprised if Polanco's running in an 0-1 count.
Stays put. Mercer takes a ball.
I think the last thing you want to do if you're Clint Hurdle, you have a guy up at the plate that's done some damage the first 2 games of the series. You don't want to certainly get somebody thrown out. You look at defensively, Brew Crew in that no doubles defense, right? If the ball stays within the ballpark, nothing going over the outfielders' heads.
Mercer takes ball 2. If Mercer reaches, David Freese is on deck. Knebel walks Polanco with 2 outs. He is behind Jordy Mercer. 2 balls and a strike.
Might be a good time for the curveball. He has good command of the curveball. I would have to think right now Mercer's selling out to the heater. I've seen Knebel in the past. I think some of his best innings, Brian, are when he's unpredictable. And if he can flip this curveball over on a 2-ball, 1-strike count, there's a pretty good chance he can get himself right back to even in this count.
Stakes are high here in Pittsburgh. 3-2 game. Brewers with a half-game lead in the National League Central, trying to add another win to the total. Polanco, the tying run at first. Knebel deals, and a fastball is fouled away, and Mercer was late on this one.
Well located at 97. That was the best fastball that Corey's thrown so far this inning. Very well located down and away.
Mercer shaking his head. He knew he let one get away. 2-2 the count now. Brewers are a strike away from evening up this series at 1 apiece. Let's see what Knebel goes with. The 2-2 fastball struck him out. Knebel heats him up, and the Brewers win tonight. Jesus Aguilar drives in all 3 runs. The Pirates got within a run, but Corey Knebel slams the door, and the Brewers even this series at 1 apiece.
Well, the key to being a good relief pitcher, making good pitches at crunch time. Falls behind Mercer 2-1, comes back with a good 97-mile-an-hour fastball to get back in the count, then blows him up with a good fastball, strikes it out, and the Brew Crew back in the win column, stopping that 3-game losing streak.
Lost 1-0 last night, win at 3-2 tonight. Time for Brewers Live. Craig Kashawn standing by in our Fox Sports Wisconsin studios. Take it away, Craig.